number 105. I'm your host, Megamus, and tonight we're going to be talking about Zone, the return of Convoy, and just about anything else that we could think of. Tonight we're going to have Plasticon.
How's it going, guys? I have returned.
With his little one as well.
With my little guy.
Brycey.
Hey, how's it going?
Headmaster Don.
Hey everybody, nice to be back.
And just the one called Chad.
What's up, everyone?
Who has very few words to say. I don't know why. And our special guest, Proto Man.
How you doing, people?
So, everyone, no one knew you were going to show up, and then all of a sudden you show up. I mean, are you just, is it like Batman, you just sneak into the shadows and just, snipe right into someone else's podcast? Is that how that works?
Someone puts up the proto signal, which is pretty much a picture of a Transformer toy on, and then I'm just like, oh, I'm needed. Well, I get into my Protomobile, or as I like to call it, my Toyota Solera, and then I drive on down
the Protomobile.
Yeah.
Oh.
Either that
it's that hot rod logo thrown up in the air. That's what it is.
With a really shitty hot rod logo.
Yeah, the G1 one.
It
literally looks like the sticker.
One day I'll own a Dome Zero, and it'll all make sense. Trust me.
Well, it could be that someone said his name 3 times as well, so there's always that.
Oh yeah.
Ooh. Hey, there you go. There you go.
I thought that's how we got Headmaster Don on here, was to call his name 3 times.
No, that's because you were desperate.
Well, no, I just figured if we could say Chad's name
room.
3 times, he'd go away, but that doesn't seem to work either.
I can make that happen.
Well, you going to go to sleep in your little coffin back there? Is that what happens?
Yeah, man. I got bunk beds and everything in here tonight, so
well, I don't
I'm not
know
driving. So
you're just going to sleep alone, but that's beside the point. So
tonight
we're going to talk about we're going to go back to our series, and we left off at Zone. So let's start with Brycey, and let's see our first Zone exclusive figure.
We'll go with the new Cybertron Commander, Diatlas. He's a quad changer. Drill tank, a jet, a base, and the robot.
And they all those came with the Micromasters also that were pretty hard to get, right?
Yeah. His little partner.
It's like a little dome sports car, right?
Corvette Indy.
Yeah, and they were all unique molds too. They weren't just repaints.
Yeah.
They were part of the new subgroup of toys called the Powered Masters, instead of Power Masters, which their gimmick was they powered up to some kind of spinning accessory like interlocking and everything in a rolling gimmick, or in other cases like Road Flyer, a popping up gimmick. Yeah, Road Flyer seen right there. And Sonic Bomba.
So you had Diatlas, you had Road Fire, and Sonic Bomber.
Yeah.
And as most people know, they combined into this massive. It was easier just to get 2 of them than it was to combine them for the show. That's for sure. And made this nice little, big ship.
Called Big Powered, and according to TF Fiction, that's actually the fastest thing in the Transformers fiction.
And that's what she said.
Yeah.
So I understand that. All right. So, and would you say in Zone at least, was that like the hardest one to get? I mean, that one seems to command a whole lot of money, especially for all 3, like in the gift set version. It seems to command a whole lot of money.
I think when you're talking late G1, G1 Japan, I find the likes of stuff like Operation Combination being a little more difficult.
Right, but just for Zone in general.
Zone? Oh, in Zone? Well,
Yeah.
I mean, what's the demand really on a Metro Titan compared to, say, a Sonic Bomber? You know what I mean? So, like,
right.
I think a Metro Titan mint in box would be a lot more. And the thing is, too, when it comes to Autobot leaders like Diatlas, I always see Takara doing a reissue. which would then destroy. Like look at Star Convoy's market. Ever since that Encore came out, you know. So like Diatlas is one of those that I could just see Takara going like, here's all our movie repaints, da 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 da. Oh, and by the way, we're reissuing Diatlas.
Well, do you think the fact that they even thought about doing a masterpiece version, do you think that would do something to the value?
Well, I think that masterpiece toys. Well, how it works with Transformer toys is there's three kinds of collectors. There's collectors that want to own the best representation of the character. There's historical collectors that want to own the original G1. They want to own the generation. They want to own every incarnation of that version. And then there's the more casual collectors that just kind of want to own something of it. Whether it be if they could get their hands on the G1 cheaper, they'll get that. If they could get the Masterpiece one, all the better. Like a good example, Star Saber's getting a Masterpiece soon. Is that going to hurt his G1 toy? Of course it will. Because it's something that'll probably be relatively the same scale as the original G1 Star Saber, but it won't necessarily be a better toy, or will it be? We don't know yet. I mean, it's pretty much a shoo-in that it's going to be a better engineered toy. The original G1 toy was like, you know, limited articulation and a Brainmaster gimmick that still was in an infancy of engineering. So I would imagine it would probably hurt the G1 toys market from just people who want to own that character. But then again, you could say, well, what about the Star Saber Robot Master toy? That was like 3 inches tall and didn't really do the same
but that wasn't as good a representation
of course
as hopefully
not.
the Masterpiece.
It had better articulation, which is amazing to say that.
Right, but my argument would be by re-representing him, that more people will get to know him, and then there's going to be that group of people that want to go back and get the original. It sparks more. Yeah, well,
it's the same way how like if those same people were reading the current IDW comics, I think they would have wanted Star Saber also because of that, because now he's kind of a predominant figure in the IDW books. Where, I mean, prior to those IDW books, Star Saber was relegated to just, you know, Transformer Victory episodes. That was the only way that you really knew that character, unless you were reading manga scans and story pages, but that's a whole other story. But so in general, the Masterpiece toy I think is gonna quench the thirst of everyone who never owned the G1 version, and I think in a lot of ways it would stop people from wanting to get the G1 version if they get something that's superior. It's the same thing that if you own like a G1 Sideswipe, and then you own the Masterpiece one. I mean, if you were just to own the Masterpiece one, I see no reason to own the Generations one or even the G1 one. If you're someone that just wants to own the best representation of the character, I always look at of Masterpiece Sideswipe and say, this is perfection. This is the evolution of the G1 toy to modern engineering, how it should have been done all those multiple times that it's been done in the past. And for someone to want to go back and own the original G1 toy would only be someone that wants to own it for historical reasons, to have that simple transformation of, you know, 7 steps or not even less than that for Sideswipe. Or if you own the original Masterpiece toy, I mean, that's all you need. That's really all you need of that character. That is, I mean, it makes the Generation toy pointless. It makes the Alternator toy, Binaltech toy pointless. It makes any version that came prior to that redundant. And so going back to Diatlas, his market currently is, I would say, like a BotCon price. I could see a mint in box, complete Diatlas, no yellowing, going for $500. But at the same time, it's one of those things that if a reissue comes out and he's one of those characters I would bet money on would get a weird reissue down the line, that would totally destroy the market price to the point that he could be worth $300. Mint in box, Star Convoys go for nothing now. I mean, there's still the guys who will try to sell it for $500, but no one's going to pay that when you can get it for $100. And in all honesty, the reissue is better. It's, you know, it's tampagraphs, not stickers. It's a lot better. So it really hurt that market.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I have the reissue of the Star Convoy. Wasn't the windows not translucent on the original? With the stickers?
I'm seeing. What you're talking about is chest?
Yeah, on the chest.
See, no, he's right. That's the original next to Sky Gary over there.
Yeah.
I don't know Oh, I'd have to get
Well, the reason why I'm asking is because, I mean, I know on the chest on the original, I don't think it had as much chrome either. I thought it was just like stickers on that one.
No, it's
well,
yellow.
the biggest difference I've never really
There
like
he is.
put them I never really put them next to each other because I have the reissue mint and box over there.
There was differences in, like, I remember this is white, but I think it's chrome or
Oh, they did
silver.
chrome on it?
I think
Okay.
it's silver. I think it's just
There.
silver. Yeah,
There's the reissue.
silver. This is the original. There's something to do with I think this is a different color.
Silver.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one's white.
And
This
everything's
is chrome.
everything is tampograph right out of the box. So
Right,
for the
whereas
big-
these are stickers.
yeah, if you would have bought like in my case, a original mint and box G1 Star Convoy, you'll right away open it up and your hot rod is missing his chest sticker, and then you're at that impasse where you're like, do I want to actually use the original sticker sheet and devalue the toy, but so that hot rod could actually have his flame chest, or
Heck yeah.
not? Well, in my case, I just bought multiples of that MicroMaster hot rod, so it wasn't a big issue. But
There you go.
but when the reissue came out, it just took care of all of that. Everything was nice tempograph, no sticker peeling, no chrome sticker issues that peel over the years and get wrinkled. It's the perfect version, and especially whenever you find loose Star Convoys, 99% of the time the spoiler sticker on hot rod is always completely peeling. It's because it makes his feet, it's always prone to rubbing, or just people when they display it, it's literally sitting right on the surface.
Well, and I'm thinking about what you said before, and we all know that, like, when they reissued and they did the Encore Fort Max, the price of that dropped.
Oh my
When-
god! I
when
said
they
a
did
joke
stuff
on-
like that. But what my question is that by making a superior mold of something, it's not the same as making the exact thing and reissuing it, which we know devalues.
Oh yeah,
So,
well,
I mean, you can look at it one way or the other.
Well, like in the case of, say, like Fortress Maximus, you pointed it out best. Supposedly the mold is inferior than the original, but at the same time, I mean, I remember for years seeing guys who would always, like, I would do tons of conventions. You always have those guys that just have Fort Max bodies. No head, no weapons, no. I like to call it a Fortress Maximus starter kit, Just get that and then start piecing it from there. And I would see guys like that for years, and they'd be selling them for $300 a piece, these yellowed, missing every pieces Fortress Maximus. And then this reissue came out for, in all honesty, what would be probably, on average, I see them at conventions for $350, I think, and sometimes $300. I mean, you get it right out of the box with the Japanese accessories and everything. Sure, you got to sticker that thing up, I heard, is craziness, but in general, like, right out of the box, you get your display piece, Fortress Maximus, as opposed to the, a complete Fortress Maximus before that, without the Master Sword and the Mini Master Sword, would have run you $1,000 easy, minimum. If it was complete, 100%, every little radar dish and everything. So even the little baby agrees.
Well, but the thing I was talking about is that most people, if they've never had one, they're not gonna know that it is inferior, that the plastic quality is thinner, that it stresses right out of the box.
Well, honestly, the easiest way for anybody to know, and I mean, this is kind of it's a heart to anybody that owns a Brave Max. If you put it next to the reissued Fort Max, there is a weight difference. I felt it myself because the Brave Max literally is the same type of plastic.
Does it not have the die-cast core in the chest?
No, it does. It does.
It does.
It does. Okay.
I did a complete comparison.
It's almost like a G2 repaint of the other one. Literally same, identical everything.
Like, the only thing I was I mean, when I opened it up just to get the Master Sword pieces, the only thing I really noticed was the gray looked a little off. But maybe just because, I mean, mine's an old one, so I was like, oh, maybe it was,
No, they didn't get it quite.
Over the
they
years
didn't get it quite right. But the thing that everyone griped about was Cerebros, the little gray piece that covers up the face, was stressed out of the box, and that's because the plastic quality is thinner. So just by connecting it back, it stressed them. Almost all of them are stressed.
That's-
And I got to thinking, well, maybe that's not the only thing. So I actually, tried to do every little mold stamping, everything different. And when I decided that they didn't feel the same, I weighed them. And they are, the reissue does weigh less than the original. And that leads me to believe that it's made with thinner plastic. There's less material there.
Cut costs, save money.
Exactly.
You cut a millimeter off of every area, considering how many parts he's made out of. You save a lot of money in the long run.
Right.
I mean, a Brave Maximus, to my knowledge, back in the car robot days, was originally. I mean, if you got the Korean one, you could get it for 100 flat. But I remember the Japanese reissue was probably $200.
Yeah,
so,
and it also came with that playmat, which added a little bit.
The Japanese one did, not the Korean one.
Correct.
The Korean one was kind of a bare bones. Didn't come with the card. Didn't come with. Trying to
upside down sticker.
I think this wasn't one of the stickers backwards on it or something.
Yeah,
the tower stickers.
The tower sticker was upside
Yeah,
down.
I myself, I actually have the Korean one. I don't have the Japanese one. It didn't have the playmat. The sticker is backwards, but other than that, it has everything else.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're essentially identical.
Yeah, well, that's the one of the Sono Kong releases.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a
those are usually almost identical. Those two.
Well, if you remember when all the Beast Wars Neos came out, they did that, and if you took them out of the package, unless there's something I don't know about, almost all of them, if not all of them, were identical outside the package.
It was also the same for Brave, because most of my Brave products were Sonokong.
Yeah.
And I've got Liner Dag 1, and then I picked up the Korean version of Super Liner Dag 1. I can't tell the difference between them. Really, as part of the
Well,
I mean, Sonokong, honestly, other than the crappy stickers, pretty much knocked it out of the park when it comes to the quality. They really did.
Yeah, and the boxes. The boxes are kind of.
I have
the boxes are way too big. I mean, like if you go to BotCon, you look at Captured Praise table. They have like a wall of Sotocon stuff, and I'll be like, you'll see like a box that would be like almost a little bit smaller than like Brave Maximus's box, and it's just holding Long Rack and Break, and you'd be like, what? It's holding two. Their boxes were such a waste of space. It was crazy.
Well,
and you had like this big.
When you opened them though, they were displayed nicely.
Yeah, they had that weird like I don't know, like what egg cartons are made out of.
Yeah.
Whatever that cardboard's called. You know what I mean? Eggshell cardboard. But it's like it was that weird cardboard that they would be held in, which is kind of. I guess it's cheaper that way to use that instead of styrofoam.
But don't count on those plastic trays holding up any length of time.
Oh, of course not.
They're white, but they're basically gold plastic because the trays will just. I picked up my Galgagar was a Sonokon Galgagar, and I picked it up by one end, and before I could grab the other end, the plastic cracked halfway down through the box.
Yeah, I'm reminded like a few of my Master Force Pretenders that used plastic trays. I know like Metal Hawk, like the indentations that the figures sit in, usually those start to crack early on. But that's because it gets thinner usually at the bottom.
Right. Yeah, because they're pushing it into that to stretch
down on it.
And at the bottom it's always thinner. Yeah, I've noticed that.
It's one of the few examples I could think of Japanese Transformers that didn't use styrofoam. Now that I think about it, it was the Pretender shells. That's weird. I'm like,
Yeah, even the 3-pack Pretender classic.
The classic ones, yeah, that's styrofoam.
It used that too. No, did it use styrofoam?
I think that was styrofoam also because.
Don't make me go and get it out.
That used the same kind of packaging concept because they did a 3-pack of juniors with Optimus, Fortress Maximus, and Chrome Dome.
Oh yeah, the junior sets.
Yeah, and it used the same idea because it came out around the same time, and then those I know 100% those were styrofoam because those I actually messed with not too long ago. Just trying to think of something that's an exception to the rule. I'm looking. Black Zarek obviously was styrofoam. I'm trying to think of. I think maybe it was just Pretenders. Because obviously the other exceptions to the rule would be smaller figures, but a lot of them are card backs, like Micromasters, so those don't count.
Motormaster's on a bubble card.
Yeah, well, that's the same thing. Like if you think of the Brain Masters from Victory, Those are styrofoam.
Yeah.
Those are individually packed or in the Road Caesar box set. Huh. Now you're making me think. Shit.
Well, good. Keep it
Yeah,
going.
I never actually thought
honestly,
about
I think one of the ones I have, I know that's like it's an e-hobby, but the Guardian robot, that thing came in an egg crate.
Well, yeah. The thing is too is that the e-hobby one, more specifically, even the Omega Supreme that came before it, that was because it was a styrofoam concept that never existed in like their archives, if you will, because they never got Omega Supreme back in the day. They didn't get Takara Tommy or Takara back in the day. Didn't have any of those toy box molds at the time. So when it was brought over, along with, I believe Skylinks was also one that they never got, but was brought over around the same time when they did the Encores. They actually had to make special styrofoam for the Omega Supreme. Well, not styrofoam. In this case, it was plastic for the Omega Supreme Encore. And my assumption is I don't own the Guardian Robo, but I would assume they just straight up just copied it. And
Yeah,
used the
they did.
exact same thing.
They did. It's basically it's almost it's a clamshell is what it is. I mean, you have
Oh,
the
really?
egg crate underneath, and then you got a sheet that goes over the top of it that actually clicks down.
Okay, so it's a little different than the
Yeah, it's
Omega.
It's very well packaged. I mean, if anybody's in the market for those things, but I mean, I wouldn't pay over 150 for it. It's not worth that. But
Most Transformers aren't, in my opinion.
I mean that one's really not over 150. Myself, I was lucky. I snagged mine at a local comic shop for $75. So, new in box, never opened. It was awesome.
There you go.
So happy.
All
with
right, so Brycey, we left off with the big powered convoy. What's next?
You were bringing up Metro Titan. A repaint
Metro Titan, which is a straight repaint,
I can't see it.
but it also came with,
Metro Bomb.
Little
which
dude.
is a
Little,
that was a
Sky
recolor
Stalker.
also.
Yeah.
And he had a specially molded ramp that fit into the Ds
You forgot
on the
something.
legs that could detach the Micromaster bases.
Right.
And then the usual Metroplex accessories with the other leg.
But that one, just because of the coloring, I think it's very wanted, even though it is just a recolor, except for a couple of changes and additions. But I mean, I know a lot of people that want that one. They're willing to pay good money for it.
Yeah, and not to mention when the third-party reissue of that, like the try to
pink
be
one?
perfect. Yeah, they got pink instead of red, so that actually, like, a lot of people were like, ugh, that they didn't want to go that route. Also, I guess you forgot that they also had Metro Tank, Metro Dash, and I think that was Metro Bomb, or was it? You mentioned
Yeah, this is
Metro
Metro
Shot
Bomb.
then, which with 6-gun and Scamper and everything. And that was a really cool toy, and I mean the fun fact about that also was the Zone line didn't have a lot of Decepticons, and that was one of the few.
It had
Yeah,
Bomb and
that thing,
Race Car Patrol.
Well, the thing is,
Racetrack.
Yeah, Race Car Patrol is the only other one.
with the Metro Titan, there was actually two different versions of it that was released. There was the one that was released that just had him, and then you had the one that actually had the Autobot Rescue Team that came with it.
Oh, there was a variant?
There was a variant that actually had 4 Autobot Micromasters that came with it that was boxed in with it, but it was.
That's weird. That's kind of like
it was
Zone
very
Base.
odd.
Yeah, that sounds like Countdown.
Yeah,
Let's just say Countdown had one.
Zone Base, I know, came with the Rescue Team.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of then. Because
Yeah.
I
This
think
one's
I
in
remember
box
seeing
too.
that one like that. But maybe not.
The countdown came with one also.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
that's
came
why,
with
like I
Rescue
said,
Force.
like the Japanese Zone Base was the only one that I remember that had that. I don't remember
Yeah.
a Metro Titan coming packed with the
I might
Rescue
be
Team.
mistaken on that then, but I thought I swear I remember seeing a Metro Titan that was packaged that way as well. But
First
maybe
I hear of it.
was the other one.
Well, with like you said with Zone, they had so many, so little Decepticons, and basically what they are is they're just Autobots switched over with different coloring and stickering and what have you. So I mean, well, let's go on. What's next? What else you got?
They kind of recolored Ground Shaker. Basically just gave him new stickers and a new Micromaster.
Yeah.
But basically, it's the exact same toy.
Yeah. And they recolored Skyhopper into an Autobot.
Which I think it looks a lot better.
Yeah, I like this one. And he got another redeco of the Race Car Patrol.
Yep. And that's another one that I think goes for pretty good money if you can find it. And I know that they knocked that one. They had an early knockoff of that one. I think it was
I know
Korean.
what you're talking about.
It's either Korean or Taiwan. Very close, but the quality's a lot less.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Way back in the day, there was a Skyhopper knockoff that was like white, way back. And the main reason why those ones command more money is because a lot of the other MicroMasters from Zone, the bases are more or less identical. Ironworks comes to mind, and a lot of the others. But the ones that are a little bit of a variant, those are the ones that command value.
The same with the little 3-packs, because I know some of them are different colored versions.
Like
the military one, I know they have more. They have a different color, and that one's pretty hard to find.
Yeah, see, like he's holding right up there, the military team, and Sunrunner being one of the more, the more obvious changes because he's not his original tan. Obviously, Flak there and the others, they're slight tweaks, but they're still more or less the same thing. But yeah, exactly.
Flak and Sunrunner are the two main ones that look a lot different. And then the Supercar Patrol.
And again, like little changes here and there. You have, I think his name is Gilhem, which is kind of the unofficial Clipper figure, if you want to call it that, which was a female character from Transformers Victory. And she was kind of based off of that design, but she never had an official toy. And then I think it's Gingham, how it's pronounced. Gingham is kind of the closest thing to Clipper's official release, but not quite. Not quite.
Yeah. Almost there.
Almost there.
And then
what would be known as Detour, a Japanese name, I believe, was also Detour. Think.
Dead Hour.
As a Dead Hour? Oh yeah, it's Dead Hour, that one. Okay, I'm just trying to hold this off the top of my head here.
I think this one's the same name.
I think you two are going to go for a throwdown here in a minute.
I wish I could reach for mine. Mine are all the way there.
The last Zone figure.
Oh yeah, and we were talking about that.
Rabbit Critter.
Yeah,
Where the hell did I put that?
Came with the VHS.
Yeah, he's got the box.
Came like this. There it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't got it with the box.
Yeah, that's right. And then you open it up, and then it's got that weird looking thing that I don't think we can use anymore. I mean, does anyone even know what this is?
What is it? Show it off.
Oh, it's talking about the VHS.
Oh, that thing?
I thought that was like a shelf.
I don't know. I think my grandpa.
I haven't even opened it yet.
It's a vintage doorstop.
And it came with. I mean, this one's still in the baggie, but it came with this, which was kind of cool. I guess a placemat. I guess you could call it.
No, what those are is in Japanese culture. In Japanese culture, they're very popular. They're called drawing boards, which is when kids do their homework on, like, say, the kitchen table, instead of like it scratching through the paper and damaging the table, they would put a board under that kind of takes that damage. And in Japanese culture, it's very common to have these boards that have advertising franchises. I have a great one of Zone. I don't know if that one that comes with it, is that the one that kind of has like a Zone base on the opposite side?
It's this side, and then...
oh, hold on. Let me get mine. One sec.
Oh my God!
I've never seen.
Yeah, I've actually got several from Adapt One, and when I bought them, they were advertised as basically pencil boards, which is the same thing. But yeah, and I've got several
that thing was.
Now, see, this one, I actually picked this one up because it was just so freaking awesome. So obviously the front piece of it is typical catalog style.
Similar to this one.
But the back is like this. And
that's cool. I like that. This one just has...
Like, something that you would like, it's like a placemat. You know, like those like carpets that have like the cars that you played with as kids?
Yeah.
So this one is like...
To me, that has more play value. This one's more, like you said, just an advertisement.
Well, and things like these are super common in Japan. Like they do it for every franchise. Dragon Ball has it, Mega Man, Gundam, anything you could think of, they do those. And what they are, it's like subliminal advertising, because they're just used that when you're doing your homework, it doesn't scratch the table when the pencil is. But that's all it is. And I didn't know that the VHS came with one. That's kind of cool. At least that tells me now that this didn't come from the VHS one. I don't know which one this came.
No, because this one was definitely all complete when I got it.
Maybe from Countdown?
No, I have a Mint in Box Countdown. Specifically the zone-based one.
Well, that's not to say out of the realm of possibility that they didn't just sell those by themselves,
Well,
just to advertise the toys.
These things are totally promotional, so it's very possible these were handed out even. You know?
I've actually seen pictures when I was buying the ones from Brave Command Dagwan. It was from a shop in Japan, and one of his pictures was a rack that where we would go to, say, a drugstore and buy comics off of a spin rack.
Okay, and so he had those.
Yeah, his was pencil boards, and basically, it was a spin rack, and you could just spin the rack and pick out whatever pencil board you want. He was just selling them directly on eBay, but he showed how many he had in stock.
Wow.
Yeah, and
that'd be neat to get some of those.
And it's also possible because I know that back in the day in Japan during like the Transformer 2010 era of like 86, 87, they used to do back then also promotional material. When you bought a certain amount of yen of Transformers, you would get something free. A lot of people don't know that Call of the Primitives, the reason why the animation was so different and why it was just so different from the rest of Season 3 was because that was actually a special episode that was ordered by Toei and specifically Tokyo Studio Shisha to be made to be just a VHS that could be handed out for free when people bought a certain amount of Transformer 2010 toys way back in the day. And I think it was Lawson's or something in Japan that did that.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because having been to so many BotCons, and you get involved with a lot of these discussions with Hasbro and the show at the time, people were saying it was made that way because it would just happen to be the studio from Japan was the one that episode went to, because they were using several different studios for Season 3.
It was the story was it was originally ordered to be done like that as a promotional OVA kind of thing, and OVAs were huge in the 80s. In Japan,
but I have never heard that facet concerning Call of the Primitives.
If you go to BotCon, there's a guy Tony Presto, and
I've been to a couple of BotCons.
He's like the dude for like the weird G1 shit, like magazines and like all that kind of stuff. And he's come across the VHS like 3 times, and every time he's had it, I'd love to own one, but it comes in a basic white kind of boring VHS holder, but it's cut out where the label should be, like for the holder, and then it has the 2010 logo and everything. It was a specific VHS that was just sold for that. That's how I learned of this story, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, I've been to 19 out of 20 BotCons.
Oh, nice.
And
better than me.
Yeah, you got me beat.
And so this is the first time I've heard that tangent for Call of Primitives. So that's very interesting.
So, what else do we have for Zone?
The only other things that were Japanese exclusives were Galaxy Shuttle and Raiden got a re-release in Zone.
Yeah, it was a carryover.
Yeah, but it was the same exact figure.
Yeah.
Just different box, that's all.
Yeah.
And numbering. They numbered it different, right? That was a 300 series, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It went from a 100
Zone,
100 to 300 series?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's when they also unified the numbering at that point. Actually unified a little earlier.
Well, I got a question for you, and I'm going to pull some of them out here because I got a question. These guys right here. Now, I've been arguing with other people that these were not available all the way through the Japanese line, that they stopped putting them into the packaging at some point.
I could pull out a whole bunch. I could pull out a whole bunch. Here's the thing. There was a lot of collectible card stuff, of Transformer stuff, way back in the day. What you have is an extension of that. I have a whole bunch of those of Rodimus Convoy, of what we know as Slapdash, Road King. Those are some of my favorite characters from Transformers, so I try to go out of my way to collect merchandising of them. Those were just trading cards. They had a lot of those. There's the phone card series, which sometimes you'll see there's a circular hole punched into them at the top.
I saw that.
Yeah.
But my understanding was they actually came in the packaging with the toy.
With
And
Micro
some did.
Masters?
No. Just like I've got
Well,
Skull, Cyclonus, Blanker, Weird Wolf, Hardhead, and then I actually have one of the Raiden. Now the problem is that normally when I go to buy these, you ask them if it has the paperwork, this, that, and the other, and some of them come with these, and some of them don't, and some people will say, well, they never came with them. So,
Well, what
is
you
there any
have
way of
there-
finding out?
What you have there is clearly something that stems from the '87 Headmaster era. So I think all that would matter is if we could find some Headmaster era. The thing is, no one collects Mint in Box Headmaster era stuff because you could just get the American one. There's not a huge demand for it.
I do, but
There's very rare exceptions to the rule. One of them being in the room here, but
yeah, I'm one of those guys.
I think that's something that you would have to you'd have to pick up like a Mint in Box, MSIB sealed Chrome Dome to find out, which.
Well,
again,
I do know.
Marketed that, so that's why we don't know, because everyone's everyone who wants a Chrome Dome.
I do know that the Fort Max, the Japanese Fort Max, did come with one, and I did get it, and it came from a very reliable source, and that one I know. But the problem is that if you collect all the Japanese ones like I'm trying to do, there's some of them that just never come up, and people will tell you, well, it never came with one.
Such
and
as
I don't. Shoot.
Some of them are on the box flap too, right?
Well, yeah, that they started doing with Victory. They started putting them on the flap.
Yeah, like Black Shadows is on the flap, and
Yeah.
The Jets. I don't think I have any of the Jets.
You're
the
talking
original
about
Seekers.
about like the original Seekers, like
Yes.
Starscream and them.
Yes.
85 Super Lifeform. I don't think they were doing that kind of promotional stuff yet.
So you think maybe it just came along later, like with the Target Master Headmaster series and on,
It sounds like
or
an
did it stop
87
from there?
thing. It really like the fact what you listed off all those characters right away. It seems like a very isolated 1987. Because I own a Transformers 2010 Mint in Box Rodimus Convoy and Hot Rodimus, and it didn't come with those. It came with their original character card tech spec, standard Japanese thing.
Right.
But there was no extra whatever. I don't own, unfortunately, any. Well, let me think here. No, I see nothing Mint in Box. Like if there was something unique,
Let
like
me
I have
see here.
Raiden.
Just off the top, I'm just grabbing what I got here, but you would get paperwork like this
Yeah.
in the Japanese, and like even this one shows the decoder, the sticker sheet, but it doesn't show a card.
Well, that's why it's
But
possible
it does
that
have one, because I have this.
That it could have been a promotion thing. The thing is, too, is a lot of time those kind of card stuff, they would always have the term is called candy toys. You would have stuff that it's a box and it comes with a little bit of chocolate dots or whatever, and it'll come with 2 trading cards. G1 had the Choco Coco series, which had a lot of trading card stuff that they had back then. And me, the only reason why I really know a lot about this is because the whole Rodimus insanity is I got to get everything. So that stuff exists. There's Transformers 2010, Choto Coco, Rodimus Convoy. Let me bust out the card here. This is my big book of Transformer cards, okay, that exist. And let's see, you got all the really weird promotional stuff too.
Right.
So here is this one. This is a phone card here. See, and then on the back it would show the toy in an outline. With a little
Now wait a minute. Now, I'm telling you,
I got tons.
I
of
have the same one, Okay, and I have 2 of them, and they both came with my boxed Cyclonus. Both of them from 2 different people at 2 different periods.
One possibility is they had a whole bunch and they were just throwing it in with the toys. Maybe.
But you're right. They don't show them on the instructions. They don't show them on the box anywhere, nowhere. But it just so happens I happen to get 2 Cyclonus. Both of them came with the cards.
See, and this one's here is dated 86, so that would be Transformers 2010 era.
Let me see when this one's dated. Yes, 86.
Yeah.
Let me see what the other ones are dated.
I'm going to go through all the
87.
The archives here.
Yeah, 86, 87.
Yeah, well, there you go. So it's probably that era. Because again, Transformers 2000, Transformers Super Lifeform 85, which was its launch, they wouldn't do promotional stuff right away. Just because it's risky. It's like, oh, maybe this will do well, maybe it won't.
Well, I mean, I hate to hit you with that right out of the box, but I mean, it was just something that always bugged me because I'm trying to get, I'm trying to get the whole set, and I'm being told that there is no such thing as the whole set because they didn't make them, and I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, it's again, it's the reason why I still do BotCon to this day is because I'll go to frickin' Hiro Gongo's table and I'll find something I never thought knew existed. You know what I mean? I'll go to fucking Azusa's table and there'll be like some trading cards or some kind of wacky Kabaya official thing that I totally missed off the radar. So it's...
Yeah, I mean, I did basically the same thing. I go to shows and
like
I
whenever
never knew this one existed. You got the
BotCon
little gumball, the little gumball. I guess they were kits.
Oh yeah,
they're not Kabayas.
Those I have a ton of those.
And then this one, and they're parts formers.
Yeah, those ones were probably the most common of the Kabayas back then, because they were also the cheapest, and they came with really small box, and they came with lemon dots. Those ones, because I have a few mint in box ones.
These right here.
Yeah, those ones specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could show you my Rodimus one. I have that all packed. This is all going to go in the glass display later. But the Rodimus ones came in the mono colors too. Very simplistic transformation, almost to scale with the world's smallest stuff. Not quite, but pretty close.
Very small.
Very, very small. I know that those, they stem between, like it started in 85 and they go way up past... They go up to about Victory. I know they stopped around Zone, but I know up to Victory they did those. Because I know that there is a Black Shadow of that. I'm trying to remember about that. I know obviously there's a Star Saber. I'm trying to. Yeah, they did a Road Caesar too. Yeah, they did do a Road Caesar.
Well, but I mean, my point being is that I didn't know these existed. And when you go to these shows, and then all of a sudden you see them, and you got to get them. So I understand that. So so just got to find it. So all right. So after Zone, we go into
Return to Convoy,
which you have. You're supposed to be quicker on the lead-in. I mean, supposed to be quicker.
The Convoy right there. Come on now.
I could have slid it out there, but we already saw him.
The first actual combiner for Micromasters, 6-liner.
Yep. Before the whole 16 came later.
Yep.
See here. So we had 6.
Those are all. Those ones are for Operation Combination.
Well, my question is, did they go in order? Because the number 1 would actually be 6-builder.
That's because you're in the next series already.
Yeah, 6-liner was the first one.
Okay, so C30 370, which is 6-liner.
Yep.
And then afterwards, they started numbering them.
Yeah, those were for Operation Combination.
3. Yeah. What was number 4?
We have 6 turbo, 6 build, 6-liner, 6 train.
Well, I've got. Let me see. Make sure I get these right. We got 6 builder.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct.
6 wing.
I'm looking at 2
6
screens.
6 wing.
Yeah, there's 6 wing.
The wrong colors.
Yeah, I don't have the right one in there.
You have the American.
6 Turbo.
There's 6 Turbo. Also has variant colors on it.
I don't have number 4.
Which is Guard City, isn't it?
That's probably why. And then 6 Train.
Yep.
But yes, I'm actually missing 6 Wing. I'm trying to get that one now. So, kind of the same transformation, same combination, just different variations.
Yeah, same concept. The way that it uses its combiner parts to make a jet.
Yeah.
Or pseudo base mode.
Yeah.
You want to call it that. Usually, the main team leader of whichever one it is has a peg on their foot that could peg into the jet mode. Like Road Police for 6 Turbo, to just throw an example out there, has a peg on the bottom of his foot, which then will peg into the center of the jet to like pilot it. And it's always exclusive to one mold. Probably also featured one of the first female Transformer toys, but it was retconned into a female much later, Discharge from 6 Turbo.
What horrible name for a girl.
Yes. Which was the fire truck. Doesn't look anything like a female.
Right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
And those guys actually, the reissue, while it has more paint in some areas, has less paint in others. The original Japanese one had like different paint in different areas.
Right. This
there's
one's the
a difference
original,
between the two.
and it actually came with. I think I still have the sticker sheet for. I don't know if I do with this one or not. Let me see. Some of them I had sticker sheets still.
You have the original tie for 6 Road Police.
There's that one. For which one?
Because Road Police, his design is actually based off of a Japanese police officer, but a patrol officer. So he has like a tie. If you look at his design, and they actually had a sticker for it, I believe.
You talking about for the car?
For the police car, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't have the sticker sheet for it. See?
Oh, unfortunately, because he had like a tie sticker sheet for his little tie. It's a little design nod. A lot of people don't catch on him.
Well, it's interesting. Yep. All right, and what after that? Moving along.
Moving back. Since we skipped ahead.
Then you have the big guys.
Grandis.
Yeah, Grandis and Sky Gary outside.
I don't feel like getting that one out, so you can do that.
Yeah.
There's Sky Gary.
Sky Gary, who was found in a warehouse for ridiculously cheap by the cases.
Yeah, I got one of those.
I think everyone has a C10 Minton box Sky Gary somewhere.
Yep.
I know I do. I was like, $100? Sure, why not? You know. I think what was that? That was BotCon 2010, was it? I don't remember.
10 or
9
It was
maybe.
10 or
9. It was 9 or 10.
It was like Azusa just pulls out this case of them, and I'm like, I'll take one.
Yeah, everyone did. What are you talking about? I did too. Everyone was like, okay, how much? Okay.
And Sky Gary also probably one of the most bootleg Transformers of all time. I think there's like a million different bootlegs of Sky Gary.
Grandis had a huge base mode. Probably one of the best Micromasters.
I love his base mode.
I think Grandis is probably the best one out of the entire line, honestly.
Yeah. With his elevator and everything, so fucking cool.
Yeah, I love that thing.
And the spinning radars.
Yeah, everything. Again, and they're kind of like they're not officially powered masters, but they still function on the same gimmick.
And
So
Grandis can actually combine with Diatlas.
Yep.
They can also combine with Metroplex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Perfectly with Metroplex. I think it's probably the best combination for it.
I hate to disappoint you, but I actually have another 6 Turbo, which is all stickered up with got the little police on the back and all that, and
Yeah.
it's still missing that sticker.
Yeah, because it's super
I guess
small.
it fell off.
It's super small. It's super small, the tie.
So I thought, well.
Now, one
That's
thing
why
I
a lot
was-
of times when I find the Japanese one, the tie is always missing. Like when they did the American one, they painted it in. But not the American. Yeah, I think they did an American release.
Yeah, they called it Defensor.
Yeah, that's true. But when they did the Japanese reissue, they just painted it in too.
See if I can grab it.
One thing I was going to bring up is that with these figures being late in G1, as we were talking later about the prices, some of these prices are probably prohibitive to a lot of people. But in some cases, there are alternatives. For example, Victory Shuttle brings quite a bit of money.
Yeah, they didn't even paint it.
They didn't?
No.
They did. Oh
That's
wow.
the reissue.
Huh. I know
Still
that
need an original.
his face has a different color, and they painted the shoulders, I believe, also.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't have the reissue, but I know that it exists.
Huh.
All I have is the black one because that was the only one that's like I gotta have that one. That's the vastly different one.
Right. All right, Don, you were saying?
Yeah. That there are some alternatives. Now, I have not kept up with the prices, so I'm not sure what they're going for, but at least it gives you another avenue for some of these late G1 toys if you don't have a slight variation. For example, Victory Shuttle, very popular in Victory and later on in Zone. They reused it as Thunder Dagwan for the Brave line as well. And this was a significant remold and retooling of the figure. You also get the small motorcycle, which was the first mode of the transformed human, and it fits on the back. So that does give you that's a very unique look from Victory Shuttle, but it is Takar. It's the same mold. So you have that as an option. Another option is with Grandus.
Yeah, with the Doug base.
You can get Dag base from again Brave Command Dagwan. It does not have the powered feature, so it will not link up to Star Convoy. It does have the turning propeller. I mean, the satellite dishes.
The little radars and everything move? Yeah.
So that still moves, but it does not have the connector because a friend of mine, the year I bought him for $60.
Yeah, it doesn't have the little like the Tetris piece, if you want to call it that little connector piece.
And he bought Grandus for $250. And we tried connecting my DAG base to his Star Convoy, and it just is not something. It just would not work. But again, if you like the molds, and you're looking for something that's possibly a little bit less expensive, Takara did reuse these.
I would say that you're definitely correct. It's going to be a lot cheaper.
Oh, not to mention what's cool also with in the case of Dagbase, he also comes with those little PVC figures of the main characters from the show.
Exactly, and
which are kind of cool. It's a nice little bonus.
And the third character that they reused is the Sky Gary, was also redone for Brave Command Dagarn. So you have an option of looking for some of these Brave figures. Again, they're not going to be colored the same, but they're going to be by Takara or by Sonokong. So you do have an option for finding these molds if you don't mind them looking a little different.
Yeah, and the one you just mentioned before, Death Gary Gun, he's probably the most true to the original of all of them. Trying to remember, because I have a mint in box one. I believe it didn't have the shuttle though. It has the red guns. It has the Micromaster.
I think it has 3 micro trailers.
It does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I don't think it came with trailers, did it? One sec.
It
Hold on.
It did.
Oh yeah, it did. I'll be damned.
Yeah.
I don't really keep track of my Brave stuff that often because I only pick up the ones that kind of were related to Transformers.
Speaking of trailers,
for example,
Megamus, did you get all those trailers out?
Oh yeah, but I'm gonna stop for a minute, and we're gonna do our giveaway. We decided that this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a little bit of a challenge to it, not just who could do this or that and the other, but this little bitty jar has Micromasters in it. Since we're talking about Zone and all that, and all the little Micromasters, and if someone can message me with how many are in here, Mega Toy Fan is going to give you a set of their last year's exclusives. In the box, B-Box, and Bard Bomber. Free. all you gotta do is tell me how many are in here. How many do you think are in here? Because I don't know. I just threw them in there.
A bunch.
Give you an idea. Let me find my little scale that I always use if I can find it. Oh, yeah, here he is. My little scale. This is my little scale because everyone knows what a little Legends figure. And there you go. It's about that big. So if that helps you, great. If it doesn't, tough. So tell me how many it is. I need to get at least 10 people to respond, and the closest out of 10 gets the prize. Now, back to what we were talking about. All the different ones. What was the first one numbered? Because we got 10, we got 9, and 6. I'm getting there. 7. Oh, I'm down to 4. 3, and 2, and 12. And of course, I'm missing number 1. But I'll start with number 2. Number 2. There's number 2.
Hot Rod Patrol.
Which they didn't change the figure or the little guys any, but it did come with the little white trailer. Number 3.
Which did connect to Sky Gary.
Well, and it also could be put inside Star Convoy.
Yep.
Or Grandis. Grandis has a
Grandis.
little flap that holds down.
All right. What is this? The military patrol?
That one, yes.
Yeah.
And it was exactly the same. Also.
No changes.
All right. Number 4. Where the hell's number 4? Number 4. Now, this is where they started taking the combiners and breaking them up. You only got 2 of the combiners from the series, from that set, but you got your little tanker in there as well.
Yeah. I believe that one's the Metro Squad. Not that one.
Astro, isn't it? In this Astro?
That's the Astro Squad, yeah.
Well, only 2 of them.
Yeah.
And
Missing the gray
number
one.
5. Was it in the 5th one? Yeah. No. And here's the 5th one,
There's the Metro.
which had the other 3rd member, and then had the first member of, isn't that the construction squad?
Yeah.
No, those 2 are Metro Squad.
Well, because you have
Was there
Pipeline.
supposed to be
You
the
have
Hovercraft 2.
Was there 4 in a set or 2 or 3 in a set?
3.
three.
Those 2 are Metro Squad, though.
And then which one was not Metro Squad in this one?
You already showed that one.
That one's
I know,
Astro.
Okay, these 2 are Astro.
Yeah.
Next 2 are Metro.
These 2 are Metro.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see what number 6 is. And number 6 was...
Half and half.
Yeah.
So one of each of the 2.
Yeah.
This completed the set that we got in the U.S.
I believe that one's missing Power Punch and what was the other guy?
Here's number 7.
There's the Construction.
Yeah.
Instructor Squad.
And then number 8.
There's Power Punch. Yeah.
So they really
That's
mixed
part of
them
the
up.
military one, or the battle one.
And then number 9.
Military.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight up.
And number 10. This is where they went back to Rescue Patrol.
Reissue. Yeah.
And 11 was... Now this is where they actually changed the colors of this one.
Battle Patrol.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is a different color.
Yeah, there's different colors. Sunrunner's different, Flak is different.
And then number 12, and this also had a couple of different colors in this one too.
Yeah.
Only the black's the same as the U.S.
Yeah, the, what do you call it, Blackjack is still the same.
Now is the yellow, because I haven't pulled that one out yet, but the yellow one, is it the same? It looks the same.
No, it was purple.
That one was purple?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I was thinking of the Corvette from the...
Yeah, because
You're thinking of Road
Yeah.
Handler, right?
Yeah.
Detour was the yellow one in that set.
Yep.
Okay.
Road Handler, I think you're reminding yourself of.
Okay. So
See,
there's all that.
That's why I didn't get it. That's why I didn't get that much in the zone past the Japanese only figures. Is I had all the Micromasters and the trailers for me didn't do anything for me. So
Well, it didn't until I found that some of them were different in color, and I just, at that point, you got to get them. Sorry.
OCD kicks in.
It did.
Yeah.
It was just like
Not when
you
it
went.
comes-
I got to have them. I got to get them. Got to get them.
I'm in the same boat.
It's the same with these stupid things. Do I need them? No. But then I found out they're out there, and I'm like, got to have them.
Gotta
Yeah. Why? I don't know. I'm gonna throw them in a book and forget about them. But I got them. I got them. So.
Well, thing of it is, I was so sick of MicroMasters when I was learning about this stuff. It's like, I don't care. It's the same toy. It's a minor paint. That for me, that's what it was.
Well, I can honestly say that when I went and I decided I was going to get every G1 US Transformer, the last thing that I tried to complete was MicroMasters because I did not like them. They were the last thing on my list. But they're pretty cool. I mean, they're definitely, as many as you can get, they don't take up a whole lot of room. You can get a whole lot of them. And with the play sets and everything, I mean, they're just.
Oh, that's true. But it's like mini cons. I am so sick of mini cons. I do not want any more mini cons.
Minicon variant collecting. Oh.
No.
Boy.
No arms
Get that
micro.
store exclusive for
No,
buying 6,000 yen from this small little chain in Japan that was only in white when it was released on the Golden Weekend, which is a 3-day event that only happens in Japan every 4 years. Ah!
Yes,
God.
but you will track it down and buy it.
Oh, yeah.
You can say what you want about it, but you're like, I gotta have it.
Like my current thing like that right now is Safety Prime from the new Transformers. What's it called? Their line, the Alternity one with the chicks.
Super GT.
Oh.
Super GT. They have Safety Prime, which was only handed out to little children at an event, and I'm like, that hasn't fallen into the secondary market yet.
There's one, I know where it is, Daniel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll give you a link to it.
Uh-oh.
Well,
And there you go. See, that's how deals are made and friends are made. I said, there you go.
That's how wallets are broken.
Yeah, that too.
and addictions are fed.
That's
I'm
true.
spending money.
Absolutely.
But for something like that, I'll call Hydra. I'll say, "Can you get me this?" No, I'm fine. But I'm fine. I'm fine.
Andrew, I use them for all my weird shit. That's the ones like when I need to find the weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, he got me my Kamen Rider Fi's DX belt.
Yeah, he's getting into the Sentai stuff now.
Yeah, about 3 years ago. So it was like I got my Fi's DX belt, so I was happy.
Well, I think we got a little bit of time. Why don't we go ahead and do the Ouch My Wallet and let us know what you've bought recently that made your wallet go ouch. We'll start with Brycey.
I haven't really bought anything this week. I did
Pull
get
crap. Pull something out.
No, I actually got a gift. A friend of mine sent me Dreadwind and Smokescreen.
One of the most awesome figures ever created in plastic. If you're a Transformer fan, you should own this in some variation.
I got sent that this week in the mail with some Generations figures. Pretty pleased with that.
Nice. Don, you have anything?
Well, I really don't have an ouch my wallet. I mentioned that last week for BotCon. BotCon and airfare from the East Coast to the West Coast is not fun.
Yeah, but that's a big ouch.
Yeah.
Airfare sucks.
I did get some stuff.
Bigger ouch for the Canadian, trust me.
I know.
That's why we're going to TFCon.
Yeah.
I did pick up one of the thank you to Paladin over on Superhero Time. I picked up Kamen Rider Gaim, Cachadori, Tiger Arms, basically. It's very hard to find. I picked up 2 seasons of Digimon, Season Tamers and Frontier. Picked up this little rare guy.
That's going to be on my list for the.
Yes. This one is actually a duplicate. This one is bound for Mr. Mike McConaughey at BotCon. I've gave him the last couple of years he's been there. I gave him a Legends Cosmos the first year he was there because he didn't have his figure. The next time he was there, I gave him Reveal the Shield Tracks, and this year he's getting a new Cosmos. And the last thing I got this week was this guy. The Target version in the Robots in Disguise line of Smoke Jumper and Dreadwing, which I won on eBay from a very good seller. So not really a lot of ouch, but some good things.
Alrighty. Well, I was able to purchase. I've told this story before. My very first Transformer I ever got, because we was poor, was a knockoff Cassette Man, because I could afford a $12 toy, but not the $24.99 that Soundwave went for. So my first Transformer was Cassette Man, and when I found out that there was actually a Diaclone Cassette Man, I had to buy it, and I actually found one after years and years and years.
Oh,
the headphones.
Sweet.
And it is just mint. I love it. The box has a little bit of wear to it, but the sticker's unapplied. Everything's still on the spruce.
It's still
gorgeous. And to top it all off, he also had. I love it. The microscope.
Mm.
So that made me ouch a little bit.
I would imagine. Well, the Cassette Man probably in that condition for sure.
I mean, the whole time that I was looking for one, they were close to $1,000, and I wasn't going to pay it.
No,
I wasn't going to pay it.
Just to have the headset makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I got both of those for well under $1,000, and I was very happy.
Absolutely. I've never researched the Diaclone. I've never gone back past G1 looking for them. I had no idea they were running that expensive. That's
some of it's just insane.
Specifically,
they're crazy.
The Diaclone stuff is one thing, but what he showed, the Microman stuff,
right, which is free,
always has a crazy value. The Diaclone stuff, it jumps up and down all over the place because a lot of the Diaclone stuff has perfect counterparts in G1, but almost all the Microman stuff has some kind of variant on it that makes it desirable. Yeah, almost every single, except for like the mini cars. I think that's the only exception, the mini bots. Yeah. But everything else.
No, they had sticker variations.
Oh, that's true. Well, yeah. You could argue that they didn't have all that.
Makes me want to buy them.
Yeah, but stuff like you take like Blaster, working radio. You know?
In blue. They had the blue one.
And a working radio. Yeah. And he had, that's a little fun fact, his gun actually had little earbud holders.
Yeah, that's why it had a hole in it. It was actually for the bud to plug into.
It has the hole, but no earbuds, which is pretty cool.
So, Proto Man, did you have anything recently that you purchased?
Well, the week that passed, the big movie blitz happened, and I walked to Toys R Us and looked at the wall and was like, I left with how I am is I always avoid mainline stuff because it all goes on mega clearance later, especially movie stuff. I picked up a few like small cheapy Creo stuff because there's a lot of that too. The Creo customs and everything are $9. They don't get any cheaper than that. Just like Donald there, I also picked up Cosmos and Swerve. They showed up recently in Canada, and considering that they're very scarce to begin with, they're spotty in releases, I picked those two up. I was almost going to buy them from BBTS because I was worried that they'd just be difficult to get later. And aside from that, not much. I was part of a Kickstarter campaign for the Mega Man board game, and the tin sets of those came out. The Proto Man one's in the glass case up there, but that's really about it. It's been a quiet week. Even imagine the week of a movie toy launch and nothing really bought.
Well, this has been the most low-key movie launch. Now, the company I work for does carry toys, and we got in a big display for the top riser that has all the figures. It has some of the figures and characters on it. And my local Toys R Us is the smallest Toys R Us left in the chain. And at the secondary entrance, there's a great big arch that when you walk under it, Grimlock roars.
Oh, really?
It says Transformers, and you've got all the characters on the side. But there's a lot of point of purchase display. but this is the most low-key movie launch of the 4 movies. Easy.
Oh yeah, and
I
the
mean-
funny thing is, like, this whole blitz of toys happened about a week ago, and I went back recently, and doesn't look like it's been ravaged. Doesn't look like people have been like eating it up or anything. Like there's no, as I like to call it, there's no 2009 Camaro B toy. There's no like that one toy that everyone's trying to get right now.
Right.
Everything is pretty even. Everything is more or less, the case assortments are pretty even. There's nothing that's really that hot toy that everyone's trying to get. Everything is, like, hey, like the Evasion Prime's kind of cool, but there's no shortage of them either.
Right.
There's no like, oh man, I can't find it because everyone wants to get it.
Now,
One
what would
thing
you attribute that to? Would you say that's more for
I
lack
think-
of interest,
I
or
think
more for
people are
better
tired
distribution?
I think people are just tired at this point. Not to mention Hasbro's little gamble with mixing the designs. Like, you could look at crosshairs next to the same crosshairs that is like on the same card back concept. Like, this is the drift one, right, of the Wave 2.
Yeah.
But you'll have like crosshairs, same thing, same art, but it's a different toy. Because you have that like simple 2-step, 3-step transformation, then you have the more complex one. People are getting confused by that, or they're just we've gotten so educated to this point now that we just wait. We just wait, And it's also hard to make people want to buy toys when they don't know what the characters are. I mean, think about it. When 2007 movie came out and you saw Barricade. You saw Barricade and you're like, oh my god, he's going to be amazing in the movie. He's going to have like at least more than 2 lines, right? Like, and it's the same thing. You look at Sideswipe and all the toys he had for Revenge of the Fallen and what his role was in the second movie. 2 lines and that's about it.
Well, it's kind of like Jazz. Jazz pretty much like literally like nothing.
Oh yeah,
almost.
I think Jazz did more than the two I just mentioned. Jazz at least did something and died,
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you look at Crosshairs and you go, it looks cool, but I can't emotionally invest in this character and this toy because he's probably going to be a blip on the radar in the movie. And yeah, you can look at the trailer and go, oh my god, he's John Wooing and flying with the 2 guns. But you know what? That's probably his one scene in the movie, which is the worst part too.
And also, I'm not sure. Does Canada have Target?
Yes, we do. We actually got it recently.
Okay. Locally, being here in Virginia and North Carolina, for me and a lot of people, this shows had the difference in thought after the 4 movies. Target, at all the stores locally, had not put any product out for 5 days after the street date. Literally.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Target had all those exclusives of the previous movie line. Imagine.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, is that lack of interest on their part, not rushing to meet the street date? It could be anything. But back when the first movie came out, I had to tell the manager, "Hey, you've got street dated product back there for this movie." He says, "Really?" So I had to tell one of the managers of the store that their product was supposed to be out that day.
I think that it's a possibility that because I remember there was a lot of Target exclusives for Dark of the Moon. They had a lot of this and that Human Alliance thing, and then they had a lot of those deluxe. I think Air Raid was a Target exclusive, if I remember correctly, for Dark of the Moon. He came with a comic book and Space Case, yeah.
Case.
So and all those tattooed ones. Like they had those Cybertronian tattooed. So they had a lot of Target exclusives for Dark of the Moon. I think all of that really didn't do well for them. I mean, do you really need another Bumblebee?
Well, if you think about it, they've got that exclusive Abominus, and that thing's on clearance now.
Oh yeah, so I think
and there's shelf warming.
They had that whole Predacon Rising line is exclusive only to them. So I think they got a little burned on Transformers, and I think that they probably didn't rush to get the latest thing right away.
And Target has always been notorious for getting something in, marking it down really quick before anybody else. Exactly. The weird thing is, the Legends, Bumblebee, and Optimus, Megatron, and Starscream, those went clearance the same time the Abominus sets went clearance for like $7. Then they came back in at full retail 3 months later, and they went clearance again.
Yeah, and
it was strange.
I think that the interest just across really the fans, the casual fans, and the retailers, it's not as big. It's not as big as it was before. I mean, who knows? Maybe the movie will come out. It'll garner interest in maybe a specific character. Who knows who that character will be? I mean, it could be a Sentinel Prime situation where, you know, a lot of hype behind a character. You see the movie, and then you go, oh, there's a different twist on this, you know? So who knows? There might be, and you know what's interesting too? Up to this point, I mean, I could be wrong, but we've yet to really have characters in this movie line launch that will not be in the movie, which I think is a first up to this point. I could be wrong. Maybe, what's his name there? The red Dinobot. I think his name's Scorn. He probably won't be in the movie, but he's also part of like this different price point. But so far, it looks like a majority of the toys that are out are movie characters, which is a big change because in the past, every launch featured tons of stuff that wasn't in the movie, even if it was like a movie preview kind of thing, you know.
Well, I mean, you never know. We don't know what other repaints. I mean, we've seen repaints for the Prime molds that they're putting out, but we haven't seen very many repaints of the Bumblebee or the Crosshairs. Or, I mean, I know we heard about like the Dinobots all being done in the G1 colors. I mean, that's almost an obvious thing.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I haven't seen any like crazy, oh, this isn't in the movie kind of thing.
Well, no, but I'm talking more about it's the first time ever that an initial first wave, that's everything that's out on shelves right now essentially, is more or less guaranteed movie characters, like more or less 100%, because from what we've just seen from trailers, because that's really all we're just basing everything off of.
Right.
Like, you know, Drift is, like, I'm just looking at the back of the car. You know, Drift is in the movie, Strafe is in the movie, Optimus, Hound, you know, Grimlock, Galvatron, but that's Wave 2.
Well, what about the two new Dinobots they released?
That's the only one, Slash and the other one.
Scorn. Yes.
Scorn and Slash are the only two that I think are the exception to the rule thus far. And man, are there going to be a lot of Dinobots.
And the Brachiosaurus that's coming out as well.
Well, that's later. That's later though. That's like Wave 3, I think, much later. But those are the only two that seem like are not going to be in the movie, where everything else of the product that's out thus far, all the different scales, all the different classes, everything is a guaranteed movie appearance character, which is a big change from the past. I think that they learned their lesson with stuff like the Human Alliance Deluxes. You know, that it's a whole wave of nothing movie-related, really. I mean, it's movie-inspired, but not a single one of those characters appear in the movie. Then you'll have something like... you know, the Stealth Force, which was Dark of the Moon stuff. All of that, too. Not really movie-inspired, but not movie-related characters. They did, like, whole sections of stuff that just didn't touch the movie. Again, those targeted exclusives. There was no Tattoo, Cybertronian Bumblebee. I think they're really trying to crack down and focus on just what's going to be in the movie. There's a lot more gimmicky lines now. Now there's the Spark Dasher kind of thing. They got the one push transformation thing, which is kind of like a Gravity Bot, but kind of not. You have
step Grimlock that's like humongous.
Yeah, that's the crazy, you know. Then you have the Titan class, and by Titan class, there's the Titans that are the one piece of plastic with articulated arms thing. There seems to be a lot more. Like there's a group set of characters, and they're just doing those characters in all these different price points. Like Drift, you know, Drift or Optimus or Bumblebee, just getting every possible version that could exist. And now, not to mention the Creo too. Creo Constructabots, Creo Customs, the Creo little blind packs are just showing up now too. You know, so I mean, it's a lot of stuff.
The one that you're talking about, like those Titan class things, honestly, I think they're missing the boat there. I mean, with those Titan things, they have potential to be cool, but what they should have done was release them as jumbos, and I've said this before, they should put Firing Fist gimmicks on those.
The Titan class thing actually is something that's inspired by all of Hasbro's lines. It actually exists for Star Wars, it exists for the Avengers, it exists for... anything that Hasbro has the license to, they have Titan class toys related to it. It's an unfortunate thing. As a Transformer collector, we look at it and go, well, it doesn't transform. What's the whole point of this? But when
myself, I would have bought it if it had like firing fist gimmicks. Give me firing fist gimmicks, and I would buy every one of them because I think it's cool.
But again, that's something that, as a Transformer fan, we look at the gimmick. But like when you look at, say, Titan class Darth Vader, for a kid, that's all it really needs to be. You know what I mean? It just needs to be a Darth Vader that does this and maybe have a lightsaber. Same thing with a Titan class Avengers Captain America or something. As long as it has
they also have the Bandai actually has their Power Rangers that are
they have something very similar to that. Yeah, you're right with their Megaforce stuff.
Yeah.
But that's just it. So, like it's this larger toy, but it's a cheapy kind of price point thing, because it's very easy to engineer these toys because they're very simple. And it's something that I think it does have a market. It appeals to kids, but the Transformer one just seems very odd to us because we're so used to toys that convert, and yet here's something that's really dumbed down, really simple. But it's just something that's a current staple right now in Hasbro's stable of toy lines. They seem to do this with everything.
I looking at toys as much as I do in the stores, and I'm not seeing these Titan figures selling.
Oh, they probably aren't.
Yeah, I just see it as a waste of a resource hole. They keep making these figures, they're not selling. It just seems to me if all these Titan figures up to this point have not done well, I can't see the movie Titan figures doing so much better. It makes everything sell better in that class.
It's also, I think that...
it's demographics, man. I mean, honestly, you think about it, like us, a lot of us remember the Shogun Warriors on the shelves when we were kids.
Yeah, the jumbo.
And I mean, I've got them. I love those things. I think they're awesome because it's a jumbo, a large robot. And I think that's what they're trying to appeal to.
Yeah,
but what I'm saying, they're missing the boat if they don't give, like, a firing fist gimmick. Maybe give, like, a gun that's got a firing missile, something to give a little more to it. That's all they need to do.
You look at previous movie lines and what existed Transformer-related around the time. If you had Dark of the Moon, or you had Revenge of the Fallen, or even 2007 movie, they always had some kind of gimmicky robo-stompers, bumpin' battlers, fast-action battlers. There was always some kind of gimmicky thing for the kids. That is kind of absent this time around. So I think it's trying to fill that gap. Like, movie lines in the past had robo-replicas, robot heroes, it had cyber stompers, bumpin' battlers, you had fast-action battlers, you had... what was the other one that they had? There was just always so many.
Well, they also had those. Well, this is Prime Line, but they have those remote controlled cars that transform and.
Oh, they had I believe they called it the Go.
Radio controlled. Radio controlled. My kid has a couple of them. They're pretty cool, actually. I don't think they're bad. I mean, it's a great kid gimmick kind of thing. But what I'm saying is they don't have to put electronics in these. They
no, of course not.
Spring-loaded gimmick, fire a fist, or spring-loaded gimmick, fires a missile.
That's kind of what the Cyber Stompers did originally. They had, like, I know, like, the Dark of the Moon ones, they had, like, Optimus had opening wings for his jet wing kind of thing, and they always had something like that presently. And they did another one, too. I think it was called Robo Smash. Actually, I have one near here. They had the Robo Smashers, which were just like, something like this, which is a non-transforming figure, but it had a little, like, pop-up gimmick or whatever for the guns or something. I don't even remember how this one works. Oh, yeah, it was like this. Just like a little gimmick. It doesn't do much, but hey, ooh, look at that. Oh.
But kids love that kind of thing.
But yeah, well, that's it. And the thing is, too, is they're cheaper. They're cheaper because this here, it's about the scale of Voyager Megatron. It's about the same size. It's Megatron, but this thing was probably, I don't know, probably $9.99, where the Voyager Megatron was not $9.99. So I think it's a cheaper alternative for parents to be able to get those expensive characters that do more or less the same thing. And I don't imagine a lot of kids transforming movie toys very easily back and forth. So something like this really satisfies it.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's 7 now, but when he got hold of some of these, he doesn't care about the transformation of some of those because sometimes they're too difficult. and that's why he's more appealed to like GoBots and G1 Transformers and stuff like that, because it doesn't take hardly any effort whatsoever to put
quick
it.
conversion, able to play with the robot mode. Yep.
Right, and I mean, I'm not a big fan of the flip changers. I mean, I can see the appeal now, but in a way, I kind of think it's almost insulting to some of these kids, especially if they played with G1 figures. If you think about it, their parents have G1 figures, they've seen them, they're like, what's this? And you do one thing, and it turns, and then 10 minutes later, they're bored of it, you know?
Well, and I'll tell you one thing, like stuff like Rescue Bots, that is really hitting the demographic. Rescue Bots has been a runaway success for Hasbro. It sells very well, very, very well. And that is something that is a simple transformation, but still is appealing even to the more adult market because it focuses on classic characters or homages classic characters in some sense. Has big play sets, you know, it has all kinds of play value for children, and that really works for them, which is weird because I felt that Rescue Bots was created for that ages like 2 to 7 demographic.
Well, it originated back in 2002. Remember the Play School GoBots that they put out? That's where it originated at, and then they just made them a little smaller as it's gone on.
They did originally the Play School GoBots, and then they did the straight up just GoBots, which was a whole other thing. Because first you had Chopper Charlie and Rescue Roy. Those were like different, and then they did a different GoBots kind of thing, which was a focused universe with Beastbot and Speedbot and all of that. And those were moderately successful direct to VHS episodes and fiction and stuff. And then they took the GoBots name, and now they use it for like Dark of the Moon sublines, where it's like, oh, it's these auto-transforming little pieces of crap and stuff. But they really use the GoBot name all over the place now. But Rescue Bots really has been successful, and I found it serves that demographic, which when they told us that they were going to do simplified movie toys, I kind of understood what they were doing because that's what Fast Action Battlers was. To me, Fast Action Battlers was you had your Barricade Deluxe, and then you had your Fast Action Battler Barricade, which was the simple, you know, 3-step transfer. That's why when fans got angry that they were doing that for the 4 toys, I was like, why are they complaining? That's always something that's existed with the movie line.
Well, the
Fast
thing
Action
is,
Battlers was always around. Now it's not called Fast Action Battlers. It's just now the same thing with the deluxe packaging here, and they'll put like, you know, oh, now it's 4-step transformation instead of 16.
Right. I mean, it's like Dad goes in to buy his Drift, you know, his deluxe, and right there is a flip change. You know, he's got his 4 or 5-year-old with him, and his son wants one, so he gets one that's almost the same size or similar, and then, oh, here you go, you can get this, you know, because it's cheaper, it's easier for them to transform, and they're not going to be so frustrated.
And I understand why that exists, because at least where the Rescue Bot line is aimed at that market, there still is stuff for kids who see the movies that could still enjoy it on a different level. I kind of felt originally that's why Legends was created the first time around. I think when the Legends scale was created, it was to meet that purpose, to give that cheaper price point. Now it became Cyberverse, and it's a whole different kind of marketing idea, create your world and everything. But back then, it was more just, hey, here's Optimus as a leader, here's Optimus as a Voyager, here's Optimus as a Fast Action Battler, and here's Optimus as a Legend. That way every price point is met and each gimmick is met, because Fast Action Battlers at the time had kind of a weapon gimmick thing going on.
Right. Well, my kid actually has the Rescue Bots Optimus Prime, and with the newer line that they had coming out for those, the thing that really appealed to me was that Jumbo Optimus they have where his chest
with the trailer.
And it's like, no, not the one with the trailer, but the Jumbo they have coming out. It's 22 inches tall.
Oh,
the chest opens, and you can put figures in it. That I'm wanting that myself, so I can just put mini bots in it because I just think it's sick. It's
that actually reminds me of Fortress X, which was a Diaclon toy back in the day.
It really
very
does.
Similar to that.
A real expensive
Fortress,
one. Very expensive.
Well, I don't know. It's a toss-up between Fortress X's price and the Great Robot base price.
Yeah,
because those two are very similar in price. Because they're both so obscure and hard to get hold of.
You're right. They're both out of my price range.
Right. I mean, I myself have never seen a like a Great Robot base go for less than $1,200, even when it's getting bid on eBay and missing pieces. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to get hold of one of those. And if you do find one that's missing like major parts, it goes for upward for like around $800. If you're trying to find a Fortress X, good luck. You're going to pay 14 to 16.
Yeah, that sounds
Well, now-
about right.
Now,
That's-
one thing from you were talking about the fast action battlers and everything else. The one good thing I liked about the simpler lines like fast action battlers is that they really didn't. It didn't feel like you were dumbing it down too much. It's like the Deep Desert Brawl. If you didn't want the repaint of the Leader class Brawl, you could get the fast action battlers version of Brawl. But sometimes, like for Frenzy,
It was the
This
only
was-
option.
it was the only option, and there's nothing wrong with this figure.
No,
It's,
not at all.
It's simpler, and it looks good in both molds, but it's not so simple like you were saying. The flip changers, you're done. You flip it open and you're done in 10 minutes. This has some play value to it. This is
Well,
what
it's the same thing with Wheelie. Wheelie was the same way. He wasn't too hard to transform. It was fun to play with.
exactly, and this is why I don't see why they're going to the level of Titan Heroes, making those when they can make something along this line that's not that much more complicated. And
Don, honestly, what I think that is really what I think the entire Titan class thing is, that is for a niche market they're trying to fill, and also just kind of a shelf fill type of thing. In
Also,
between, like,
What you have to realize too is last year Hasbro pretty much wiped clean their staff and replaced it all with new staff. I mean, anyone who was at BotCon last year was introduced to the new Hasbro
guard.
crew for Transformers. So I think that this is probably, you could say people learn from their mistakes from the past. We had all these movie lines and animated in between and Prime in between, but this is a new crew of guys that isn't aware of what has come before. That's why when last BotCon Hasbro product preview panel, whatever you want to call it, when they were like, we're doing this, and I was in the audience going, we've had Fast Action Battler for 2 movies. How is this supposed to be something different? But it didn't dawn on me until afterwards. These guys are new guys. They don't know really what has come before. Aaron Archer wasn't up there. Brawley wasn't up there. And Pete Sinclair.
Greg Lombardo.
Greg Lombardo, thank you.
Oh.
He went to Plato of all things.
Well,
You know?
it's just but I'm hoping after this movie run is over, and if we do get another movie, they look at what's selling and what's not selling. Because
They'll learn.
Yeah, they'll learn. It's just I hate to see something like a fast action battler that was the only way to get a Frenzy not have a counterpart for other figures, and so you've got something that's either too simple and boring or too complex for the kids. They've lost that middle ground.
Well, yeah, and in the case of like Frenzy, all he had was a Robo replica, and then he had a weird Jollibee's fast food exclusive, which didn't turn into a robot mode. So don't worry, you're not missing anything there. Yeah, like it had a weird purpose, the Fast Action Battler line, but at the same time, it was that simpler price point for kids. I always feel that was the main purpose for it. And it was more or less the same price as Deluxes. It's just that it was engineered differently because it had a spinning gimmick or a missile gimmick or something. There was always an emphasis on that, or a light up gimmick.
I mean, the big thing though, I mean, I think the reason why a lot of stuff's sitting on the shelf is some people are kind of sitting back waiting to see what this new cartoon's going to be about as well.
That's my belief too.
Myself, I was a big fan of Animated. I loved Animated as a cartoon, and the toys were solid. During the whole movie line, honestly, I really did like the Animated stuff over the movie line. So there could be some individuals like me out there that are just sitting there waiting for that.
Well, Animated also was one of those lines that literally, I think with the exception of one character, everyone was in the show. Every single toy. I mean, okay, there was repaints that were inspired, like, okay, here's a Elite Guard Bumblebee, or Highway
Buster Magnus.
Yeah, but all those characters at least were in the show. So when you would look at a wall of animated toys, you could identify with each one of those. Where if you were at that time, 2008, looking at any of the movie stuff, I don't think there was much movie stuff. There was tons of movie stuff in 2008, but there wasn't much movie stuff that you could relate to. Like you even look at the time 2008 the Walmart exclusive deluxes, which are like Big Daddy and what were the other ones they did? They did
Crankcase.
Crasher.
yeah, where it was the
Breakaway.
the breakaway
That's
one.
what
Yeah.
You know, like they were doing a lot of weird stuff that to a lot of people, they'd look at that yellow Thundercracker Cybertron repaint and go, "Ugh," you know. And unless you're a GoBot fan, what was Fracture to you, really? You know, unless you really like that Mirage mold.
Crasher.
And
Yeah.
the same thing, unless
Absolutely.
you were like a really hardcore, like, oh hey, Big Daddy, yeah, you know. Like, I mean,
Well, believe me, there are hardcore Big Daddy fans out there. Trust me.
yeah, there are. But
Yeah, but that's a different
was
site
actually-
podcast altogether, though.
yeah.
Well, I mean, also the mold that they used for Big Daddy came from the Energon, which wasn't a
It
bad.
was actually Cybertron mold.
Cybertron, sorry, Cybertron. I get those all mixed up.
Yeah,
But
it's all the same.
it's just, I
all
mean,
the
it's all the same. But the thing is, it honestly wasn't a bad mold. And I think probably people that would probably pick that up would be like guys who are really into muscle cars because it's a muscle car. So,
Yeah.
But there was a reason why a lot of the animated stuff appealed to more, because that's when the movie line was just putting out product just to kind of, because the movie did really well, the toys were selling really well, and Hasbro was encouraged to extend that movie line as long as possible. Those toys I just listed, Big Daddy, Fracture, and all that, those were supposed to be Classics toys. They were originally supposed to be packaged as Classic toys, but because they were so successful, the movie line, they got repackaged instead as movie toys. So
Yeah.
it was a whole different ball game, and it's the same thing. Then you got there was a lot of store exclusives in 2008 of movie stuff. You had like Hero Evolution Bumblebee, where it had like 3 different Bumblebee toys from 3 different releases.
well, one of the ones I got, I think it was from Dark of the Moon, was the Toys R Us exclusive that had the Legends Bumblebee, that was the Classics version. Then it had the movie version. Then it had the Starscream. And the 2 different variants as well, all in a 4-box or a 4-package set, which was kind of cool, you know.
Well, they were just doing a lot of stuff to get, you know, what's the word I'm looking for, mileage out of those molds. They did the same thing with Walmart did a 3-pack where it had a Rodimus figure, you know, which was like, oh, there's no movie Rodimus, but yet here's this movie Rodimus figure, you know, that came with a Soundwave and a Bumblebee together, and that was a Walmart exclusive. So they're all, I'm really skeptical about the future of this movie line, because what people tend to forget was the Dark of the Moon movie line was actually very short, and it was actually cut off early. There was a lot of stuff at the end of the Dark of the Moon movie line that was going to come out and just really never did. Like, where's that deluxe Soundwave or the Human Alliance Soundwave? Or a lot of that stuff that was supposed to come out either got nixed completely, or it's in really low numbers and it appeared in Australia and China and stuff like that, because it wasn't selling well. Dark of the Moon did very badly, the toy sales, so it got pulled very quickly, where Revenge of the Fallen 2007 movie were runaway successes. So I think people are burned out, and I'm going to be really curious to see how the stock moves post. I think it's in late June the movie comes out. Like after the movie comes out, then I'm going to curious to see how, if the movie comes out and we still have that wall of toys, oh boy, now Hasbro is going to really have to go back to the drawing board. And it's going to suck too, because this is all going to happen after BotCon. So it's going to suck because we're not going to be able to get their direct reaction right away and go, I think we made a mistake, you know?
Well, one of the big things I look at when it comes to, like, you know, toy releases, in conjunction with movie is, you think about Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim put their figures out on the market before the movie, and whenever the movie came out, those things flew off the shelf because they were pretty decent.
A lot of big budget movies, though, put the toys out beforehand. That's actually what kind of kills some toy lines, is because if they do it too early. A good example, the Tron toys, or Speed Racer, stuff that came out like 2 months before the movie came out. So by the time the movie did come out, already the stores were tired of it and already trying to put it on liquidation, and then that makes the toys look bad to the retailers even before the kids or even the adults have any way of connecting with it. People saw Pacific Rim, they loved it, and then they wanted the toys. But luckily, the Pacific Rim toys didn't come out 2 months before.
No, they came out like a month literally before.
Where stuff like
Same
Tron.
thing with Godzilla, honestly. Godzilla's kind of been the same way.
Look
They
what happened with
marketed that.
RoboCop. Look at the RoboCop toys. Another good example where they put the toys out way too early. People don't garner enough interest in it. Yeah, there's the people who go, hey, it's RoboCop nostalgia, and pick it up. But a lot of us make those purchases based on what we see, the connection with the fiction, whatever that is. I mean, part of what Donald likes about Frenzy probably also stems from what he enjoyed in the movie. You know, the character. You know what I mean? Like
Well, it was nice to get an actual transforming version of the character. That's what.
But the thing is, your enjoyment of the character partially stems from what you saw in the movie, correct?
Not really. Well.
So you were sold right away on the fact that he turned into a cassette player before there was even a toy.
Well, I was basically sold that it was a nice representation of the character.
Well,
and it had
in a sense.
In a sense, and it had a gimmick that actually kind of made sense for the character. But you know, I don't have undying love for this figure, but
it helped with the purchase decision, no?
Yeah, but I miss this level of simplicity without going all the way down to what we've got this time.
It still exists. The simplicity still exists on the Fast Action Battleware level. It's just that I think that what bothers everyone, it's the paint. I think that this time around we got screwed with paint. I think that all the toys are missing a lot, and we're talking stuff as big as a leader class. I mean, this is a leader class. This is something in Canada. This is $69.99.
Yeah, and
look at that. A little bit of chrome, a little bit of paint there, and that's the story.
Look at truck mode. I mean, the headlights aren't even painted. They're just there.
And then you go down. You go to like Voyager. Now, granted, this is probably one of the better Voyagers, but I mean, this one has a lot of paint. But even Evasion Prime, kind of lacking on the paint. Unfortunately, it's still a good toy, but kind of lacking. And you go to like Drift. I have Drift over there. Not a lot of paint on him. Here's
Crosshairs. The big problem with Crosshairs is so much black. It's hard to tell what's what.
And Crosshairs is one of those examples. You look at the toy on the packaging, like on the back, and it has a lot more paint applications than the final product. That was because Crosshairs is one of those toys that in the packaging, because it's packaged in robot mode, you look at it and you go, is that even the same toy? Because it's actually like mistransformed when they put it in there. Mm-hmm. And then you look at the back and you're like, it doesn't even look like the same toy. It looks like a completely different toy.
Well, on Evasion Mode Prime, I believe if you look on the back of the packaging, you'll see it has silver shoulders.
Yep.
Silver upper arms.
There's tons of paint apps missing. Tons and tons. The same thing, Drift.
I'm trying to remember. I don't know if it was me and you that had this discussion before, Proto Man, but we were talking about where the manufacturers, like Hasbro and Takara, sometimes don't have control over the manufacturers making it, and sometimes they cut paint budget without even telling them.
Well, usually what this is what's called a sample, and usually samples also run through Photoshop. That's a thing too. The best example that I always give people is look at a Minton package animated Rodimus, and you look at the actual toy. But then you look at the toy that was actually on the back of the box. It's a completely different painted toy. That was actually like it just Photoshop. It was like maroon in a really weird pose. And another great example, probably the best example. I'll show you this one here. We all know this guy, right?
Yeah.
Now there he is right there in robot mode, right? But the photoshopped image on the back. Look at that chest there. See, what they did was they actually photoshopped, I don't know how they did it, they took the front of the car, because you can't even do that on the toy, by the way. You can't transform the chest like that. It's very interesting how, again, they kind of do weird Photoshop jobs, where the toy, this is literally not a picture of the toy, this is like a picture of a sample that then has been photoshopped like crazy in color, you know, because a lot of...
this kind of makes me wonder, because, like, okay, you got a manufacturer, you send them a copy, you say, this is what the toy is going to be like. And if they do like minor changes and stuff, instead of the guy like completely getting like a whole new copy of the picture of the toy, I'm wondering if sometimes the manufacturer just sends like a certain section picture of the toy, and what they do is they try to impose that over what's supposed to be on the
They're
back
trying
of
to make the
box.
toy look good, and then they protect themselves by putting that little line always at the bottom. Product may vary in colors and blah, blah, blah. It's always at the bottom there. It's been at the bottom for years. It's been
Yeah, because they don't want to get in trouble for false advertising, which they have in the past from doing that.
Oh, many times. But it's just they've always been able to get away with that kind of thing. They've always have, and unfortunately, this time around, it's really noticeable. I mean, it's always been around. There's always been, since the days of Universe 1.0 and Armada, where you look at the packaging of how the toy looked, and then you look at the actual toy. There's always one or two paint apps missing. Oh, a mag isn't painted silver this time around. But this is the first time, really, that it's become very noticeable, because like entire sections of the character are missing paint.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, Drift is, I mean, I couldn't believe how little paint was on this toy. And that's supposed to be one of those better deluxe toys, you know? That's supposed to be one of those like, oh wow, this is one of the better ones. This isn't one of those simple kiddie ones, but it isn't.
But like I said, I mean, I'm wondering if maybe it could be the manufacturing plant itself saying, "Oh, we're going to budget cut this anyway," because and then they get away with it, and Hasbro and Takara are stuck with what they get.
Well, no, I wouldn't say Takara, because the difference how retail works in America as opposed to Japan is a different story. In America, we have something called price points. And the reason why they're called price points is not necessarily size. We always think size. We always say deluxe, Voyager. But price point is actually a cost point, meaning that this toy is going to be $14.99, a deluxe, let's say, and it has to cost X amount of money to make our profit margin to $14.99. A good example of that is we got Armada Hotshot, a deluxe, and he was $14.99 or $10.99 or $9.99, whatever it cost in the United States at the time in 2002. But in Japan, they got Hotshot, but he was 1,900 yen, and he had an LED gimmick in his fist. You pushed a button, and his fist would light up to do a light-up gimmick.
Yeah, it was for the Star Saber sword.
For the Star Saber sword, exactly. Now, the reason why they're able to pull that off in Japan is because there is no price points. They have a wall of toys, and one deluxe could be 1,100 yen, and another deluxe right next to it could be 1,200 yen. And it could be totally just because of paint. It pretty much is whatever it costs is what it is in its profit margin. There is no price points. But because in America we have price points, all these toys are engineered. They're engineered in Takara and for the American market. They don't think about both. They think about the linear line, and then they go, okay, the Takara one's going to do this because there's no limits. That's why they always have more paint. Look at the entire animated line. Every toy is painted from head to toe. Nothing is molded in plastic there. Everything is, you can look at it and go, oh my God, everything's so shiny. But think about it. Every toy was painted from head to toe. It wasn't molded in that color. It was painted that way. So imagine the budget there for every animated toy in Japan. But then you look at animated in America, price points. Everything has to, if you're in the deluxe price point, you got to do this, 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 and that. Don't put too much paint. Oh, there's too much tempograph here. Rodimus has to have his chest flame, so let's take away from the rear lights, or let's do something. A good example, deluxe Rodimus for Energon, his Japanese version has a flame on his spoiler. The American version doesn't. And that's the only big difference between the two. They're relatively the exact same toy, but just one had just a little more paint budget to put it on the spoiler, and one, to be in the American deluxe price point of $9.99, couldn't have it there. And I guess having a trading card instead is the trade-off, but I don't know. That was that market at the time.
Well, let me change topics a little bit, just because we're kind of running out of time. But I wanted your thoughts. Give me, in 20 words or less, your pros and cons of what you feel BotCon's going to be this year.
Pro, Pasadena is always the best damn location. And that's coming from a guy who has to travel all the way from the East Coast in Canada. Pasadena couldn't be any more further away from me. New York would be better in terms of location for proximity, but I think Pasadena is always the best. Good hotel location to all the stuff that's around. You have that nice mall there. You know, it has all that stuff, the food court. If you want to eat cheap, there's a grocery store right there.
It's gone.
If you want to eat expensive, there's that slick, rich kind of like mall right there. Walking distance. You look outside your window of your hotel room, it's right there. Pasadena has the convention center right next to it. It's not one of those built-into hotel room kind of things. It's actually its own separate, big, beautiful convention center. It has that cinema next door, which I'm not ruling it out yet. We might get something special. Who knows? Maybe the Primus package guys or maybe even the gold ticket guys might get something a little special. They have that big cinema theater thing going on there. Walking distance from a Target. Walking distance from a Walmart. All the other past BotCons didn't have that. They don't have that. The Disney one is the worst example. You know?
Right. I was about to say, down here in Florida, you know, because I've gone to MegaCon past 3 years, and the big downfall of that area is you literally have to have transportation to go eat, and when you do, you're stuck in the tourist district where the prices are jacked skyrocket.
Exactly.
And it's stupid. It's actually kind of dumb, and it really
past BotCons, like if you go backwards, the San Diego one, you were kind of, if you were doing stuff on foot, you were kind of screwed. The BotCon previous to that, the Texas one, you could go, but it was hilarious. The hotel people were like, "Don't go out at night. You're in a really rough area." Oh, that's great. So you can't like hit up the McDonald's was literally a 30-minute walk away, which was not fun. This one, everything is close. The only con I could think of is it's an expensive trip for a lot of people. West Coast, isn't it? Like, again, and take it from me, it's an expensive plane flight. It's a long plane flight. But I still feel that it's the best location. If you had to tell me BotCon should be only one place every year, it would be Pasadena.
Well,
I think.
Do you remember 07?
07 was our classics year, right?
It's Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky was okay. 07 and 08 were very similar.
You had Kentucky and then you had Ohio, but in Kentucky, and I know I live in Kentucky, but that's beside the point. I don't care where it's at. It was close to everything.
Yeah,
you had all those stores there. You had all that, and you had everything you're talking about. And by the way, I can't stand Pasadena. I am so sick of it.
Oh, are you?
Move it around. Move it around. I don't give a crap where they put it. Put it in Wisconsin. Put it in New York. I don't care. Move it around. I'm sick of Pasadena.
Going back because they probably have a deal over there.
It's cheaper. It has to be.
Yeah. Well, the problem is even if it's cheaper, that's not going to change our Primus package prices.
Oh no! I didn't say cheaper for us.
That's not going to. We're not going to benefit from this cheapness. Trust me.
No.
If
as a matter of fact,
brings it to a location that costs him a penny and a sandwich to get, he's still going to charge us.
Sure. But here's the thing. Here's where the people are actually hurting. The dealers.
Oh, of course.
The dealers are hurting.
Of course.
All right? You have the same people seeing roughly the same stuff every time.
Of course.
You need to move it around. It's who.
Hey, you're talking to me here, who runs TFCon. I know how.
Exactly. And here's the thing that kills me. And what do they do every year? Increase the price of the booth.
Oh God.
Increase the price.
We wanted to get a table just to advertise TFCon at first, and we were looking at the prices. And right now, single tables are sold out as of this recording, and they only have booths left. And I think it was like $800 or something. I mean, imagine you're selling product, right? That means you're selling $800 of product for free. You might as well give it away before you see a penny of profit, before you break even. I might as well walk up to your table and go, I want that Minton Box ride-in for free, because that's kind of what you're doing. You're giving something. You could have stayed home and given me that ride-in for free, and you're getting the same experience, kind of. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's, and the sad thing is that dealers are what pay for the rental. To do simple math, if it takes you $1,000 to rent a location, and you have 10 tables, that means you charge $100 a table, you break even.
Right.
That's how it works. But Brian Savage probably at this point has a good deal with this convention center. If they keep revisiting it, that means you've created a relationship. It's those Transformer guys. They're coming back again. So that means you have some kind of relationship. That means you probably at this point have greased the wheels. He always does special con rates. And you know what con rates are? Con rates don't benefit us. They actually benefit the organizer, and I'll tell you why. Because when you sign up for your hotel room and you put a con rate discount, you're not so much getting a discount, but you're telling the hotel, I'm coming for this. And that tells the hotel, oh, if all these people sell out our hotel room for this convention, then maybe we should give them a deal because they're guaranteeing us selling out our hotel room that weekend. That's a way to, grease the wheels to get more of a deal for Brian Savage. So he gets the cheap hotel room rates from now Pasadena. He gets probably the cheap rental rate, but yet increases the price of dealer room. That doesn't make sense because he's probably saving more now that it's his third time coming back. Not to Pasadena specifically. In California, it's not his third time; it's his fourth. But or even I'm not counting the Hallett year, so that wouldn't count.
It's way too many. It's leaving.
I mean, to me, honestly, what I see suffering is the like Megamus, comes in. He's there all the time, but you got some of these smaller dealers that come in that try to sell their stuff, and they have issues with that. The guys I see that are benefiting from that, a lot of the guys are the third-party guys because they make their money on the side all the time from it.
Megamus also probably remember the dealer room last year? How much of an empty shithole that was? I literally, and this is something I should never brag about, but TFCon was the first time we had a bigger dealer room than BotCon. That is crazy.
I remember. I was at both.
I shouldn't even be saying that. That should never happen. BotCon should always be the bigger show. But I literally counted 51 unique dealers at BotCon. TFCon had 100.
You remember? You weren't. I don't know if it was you, but someone else said, and they were true, that during a Saturday, you could stand at one end of the dealer room, yell at someone at the other end, and they could actually hear you and see you.
It was, and you could see that they had high hopes to fill that dealer room because there was all that space. Remember all the art was?
Yeah.
It was all that empty space that you could have put 200 tables in that corner. It was so you could put a wrestling rink in that corner. It was so empty, that dealer room. You could shoot a gun bullet and it would hit nobody. It was just so empty.
So you're saying your pros, and I would disagree, is a location.
I think that for people that are doing their first BotCon, they'll enjoy it. If you want to, the Kentucky thing, I could agree there. Same thing. 08 also had kind of that cheap eats kind of close.
Well, for one thing, I was wrong. It was 06. It was 06. Was in Kentucky. There was a separation from Kentucky and Ohio. Ohio was a little different because you were in the downtown. You did have a little bit more crime, this, that, and the other. So that's why I would pick the Kentucky location more so than the Ohio. But I'm sorry. I mean, it had everything. You had cheap food. You had entertainment. You had a good box set. But I mean, that's hit or miss. Those are all hit or miss. The location's what I'm talking about. And it was close for me. So I'm gonna. But that still seriously had nothing to do with it. I'd go regardless where it's at. Why else would I go to Pasadena for my 4th, 5th, 6th time, whatever?
Well, that's another thing.
But I just disagree with Pasadena because it's been used too much. It's dry. It's too dry. Go somewhere else.
Well, I think that also in the case of Savage, he's bringing it to locations because most of BotCon staff is volunteers. And Brian Savage, a lot of his volunteers come from his church group. Whenever you go to get your Primus package, it's a nice old lady that's reading your name for the first time. Oh, you're Daniel Arsenault. I've never heard of that name. Is that French? But it's just it's a lot of old ladies and stuff and everything. It's from Brian Savage's church group, and they're all volunteers that work. So when he brings it to Texas or when he keeps it in LA, he has that contingency that he could bring those people. I think that when he probably brought it to Kentucky, great for us. But I think from his perspective, it was like, I can't bring all my people here, and maybe he didn't get a good deal, or there's always that underlying, again, running shows myself of that same big capacity. There's always those kind of things that help us make those decisions. Same thing with TFCon. We used to do it at one location, then we did it at another, and they were so much more conforming to us. Anyone who's ever done the more recent TFCons, we have a bar that is completely Transformer themed. The waitresses wear Autobot logos on their breasts, you know, the little button. And they serve, if you see the menu, if you do Google Images for the bar menu, you have like the greatest drinks. We have like
I got one around here somewhere.
Yeah, where we had it was called.
That too.
There was one drink. It was orange. It was like an orange juice, and you dropped it was called the Hot Rod. You dropped a sake bomb into it. A sake bomb is a smaller shot glass of alcohol of sake, but it was colored blue, the Matrix. You drop it in there, and it changes the color to maroon, the Rodimus. Very clever drinks that were thought up by the hotel staff, obviously with TFCon staff influence explaining, okay, we could do stuff like this. We had one spicy drink, it was called the Hate Plague, and a very clever bar menu. But we were able to do that because we used that location over and over and over, and because the hotel saw every time they sell out the hotel rooms, they have that kind of pull, we'll give them a discount. And as the years pass by, a relationship is created that you could push the boundaries more and do more. And I think that's why Brian Savage keeps visiting Pasadena over and over. And the worry then for your case would be, I'd worry if they'd make it a staple there, you know?
Well, I mean, it's almost turning into one.
Every other year.
I really don't see a reason why they couldn't go up to Chicago or something with this, because
I think
San Diego Comic-Con, that Comic-Con always goes up there. So why wouldn't they follow the same suit that they do? Because if they did, they know they'd get the traffic. You're going to get everybody from the East Coast to go there.
It's very
guys are
weird
going to come
that
from Canada
avoiding
straight
the East
down
Coast.
there.
I know.
Well, now
It's stupid, I think. I mean, honestly, I'm thinking demographics-wise, why not? That's location-wise, why not during one part of the year do BotCon in Chicago or that kind of area, and then go and do it, you know, in the latter part of the year over in LA. You know, if they did that, they would be able to double dip their money.
Also,
I mean, why would you not want to do that?
Well, that's part of the reason why we're doing the USA TFCon in Chicago, was because we kind of looked around. We've been planning this for about 2 years.
Right.
Like we looked around at places. We you know, like when you're doing your first USA show, you got to pick the right city. And C2E2, which always happened in Chicago, was something that we visited a few times, and we saw, hey, this location works for them. It's very successful. It has a good walk-in. And this is another thing, too. Walk-in is very important. To have a walk-in surrounding, which is, again, some of the past choices for BotCon for walk-ins were horrid because, I mean, how do you do a walk-in at a Disney location? How do you do
that didn't make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, honestly, up here in
Orlando,
it's stupid to even try to think about getting a walk-in. I mean, that's why MegaCon's not that big, and it's advertised so far ahead, because to get that traffic, to get those dealers, a lot of it's like you've got to be one of those sharks out there that looks for conventions to be able to find MegaCon. MegaCon's actually awesome. It's just very difficult to try to get that kind of traffic in. This year was the biggest MegaCon I'd ever seen. They were really tripping over people on Saturday.
Do you think that they actually get the traffic that they say they're getting in Pasadena? Because I don't see it.
I don't see it. I don't think so either. I think that
I really don't. Now they'll sit there and say, "Well, look at the line going out the door." Well, that's because you held everyone, and then the fire marshal came in and wouldn't allow so many people in, and this, that, and the other. It wasn't because of the number of people. It's because of the backup.
Not to mention,
people weren't allowed in.
Pasadena's panel rooms are not huge. They're modest at best. And if they had the amount of people that they always claim that they say they had, those panel rooms would be jam-packed.
Sure.
But they never are. They never are. Everyone gets a seat. You might be sitting at the back, but everyone gets a seat. And how many do you think it holds in there? 400, maybe, if you're lucky. You know,
if that.
You know, if that. But that's just it. So I don't believe those numbers. I mean,
I don't either.
TFCon, we get 4,000, 5,000 on the Saturday. That's like our highest peak, and that's recent. That's very recent.
Well,
We've been
I
growing.
can tell you that last year I went to both.
Yeah.
And while, as we've discussed, I mean, I could literally throw a ball and someone at the other end of the room catch it without hitting anybody.
Yeah.
But at TFCon, it was actually kind of aggravating that you couldn't go from one table to the other without going around 20 people.
Oh yeah, well,
It was packed. It was packed.
Location is key. Right in the heart of Toronto, walk-ins like crazy. It's just, and the Sunday was when it really fucking opened up, because we always make sure advertising, let all the TV stations know. I'm kind of like the personality for TFCon. They make sure a TV station on the Friday, they get the newspaper guys and the TV guys to come. We talk, we advertise, it gets edited and put on television the Saturday. Sunday, all these fresh faces show up. And that's great for dealers, because you get all those impulse buys and comes, oh my God, I love Transformers. I had that tape, dude, you
sound tape.
Sound tape.
Sound
Yeah,
tape.
like sound
tape.
But that's just it. But those guys are great for dealers, because you're going to make that, you're going to sell that 2007 Bumblebee that you could not sell to any collector. But a impulse buy dude who shows up is going to be like, hey, it's that Bumblebee from the 2007 movie. I'll buy it for my kid, or I'll buy it for myself. And you'd be like, oh, thank God someone's buying that Bumblebee, you know?
Right.
Like,
Here,
the point
here,
is
here,
that
take another just to take it. There you go.
Yeah, that's just it. I'll throw in one.
Okay, so
But
When
now,
you want your casuals, that helps you so much. BotCon can't cater to casual walk-ins. It can't. It's too expensive.
well, there you go. And I think I'm going to say that's my con for the convention. It's too expensive. What would you say is your biggest con?
The biggest con is just all the costs now is ridiculous. Like my prediction, the Army Builder is going to be more than $100 this year. That's my prediction. Already, my prediction thus far, Primus package has gone up. The only thing I was wrong was I was expecting to go over 400. It didn't hit it. It's almost over 400. Almost. I was expecting 400 on the dot this year.
Well, wait a minute. If you count their processing fee,
oh yeah, well that's
true.
But at a base value, so far they haven't. I was expecting they're going to go, oh, let's just round it off. We'll make it 400 even. Army Builder, I'm predicting $110 minimum this time. They're going to do something. Already, like, there's a great website called BlackRock BotCon whatever numbering there. It shows all the prices throughout all the years of BotCon and the numbers and if it's sold out. And you see there's a $10 increase or more with everything as each year passes.
Sure.
So we're going to see Souvenir bag sets, originally $98 for the first one, probably going to be $110. The second one, which is usually the cheaper one at $75, probably going to jump to $85. Army Builder is going to go from, last year it was $100 even, probably going to be $110 now. Oh man, custom class figure, that went up to...
I was about to ask about the custom thing.
Pre-assembled custom class now. They figured out a way to make a market for that, and originally they were charging $75, now $80. You know, they went up $5 with that, and you're not getting no freaking flag with a sticker like the Striker hat or whatever it was. You know, the biggest con is going to be the cost. I get a feeling we are going to show up to wait in line for that club store, and man, are we going to feel it on our wallet. It is going to be some crazy pricing, and I'm just praying that there's going to be some diamond in the rough there that I could buy a second of to sell to get some of my money back. You know, like last year was those Seeker jets, as long as you sold them right away. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're always... The trick with BotCon, if you're someone like me, especially who travels and you really want to get your cost back, find something that's going to be that A-game resell item. If it was like 2011, everything was
going to be the A-game sell re-item. That thing is going to be insane.
Well,
most people want
you know
that.
what it is? Like,
Could be.
When it's box set stuff, you run that risk of breaking it up. You don't want to break it up. If like, people are going to want that DevCon, people are going to want that Scorponok. Don't break it up. Sell it as a whole, get someone to buy it from you at a profit as a whole. Because the second you break it up, you are stuck with 3 figures that you will not be able to get rid of. Last year, everyone wanted to strike an Obsidian. No one wanted that other stuff. Yeah, okay, you might say, oh, but I liked Machine Wars. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No one wanted those guys. So you're going to be stuck with them, and you're probably going to end up selling them at some kind of cost just to get rid of them. But those Seeker jets, everyone went boo, 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 they went all fucking crazy and I remember I saw it, and right away the gears were turning in my head. Daniel, you just came from Montreal, you spent $500 on a plane ticket, you gotta get this money back. I bought 2 sets of those Seeker jets, 3-day auction on the Thursday night on eBay. By the time the weekend was over, some guy bought it for $500. Some dude, some crazy dude.
The big reason
$500.
why is because it was an official release of those colors versus
Exactly.
some KO
and people
company
go
doing
crazy.
that.
But here's the funny thing. Those Seeker jets now aren't really worth that anymore. BotCon prices always drop like crazy. That's why I do 3-day auction the Thursday night. By the time Sunday rolls around, it's sold. I get the payment in PayPal, and then while I'm already in the States, while I'm already near the post office, which cheaper shipping in the States instead of coming from Canada, ship it out right there and then.
Right, but
before the weekend's over.
There are exceptions. Like
there's a proto tip for you guys listening. There's a way to save some money.
Well, Shattered Glass Prime.
There you go,
It's
Shattered Glass
still,
Prime.
and it was from the box set.
Well,
So
but it was the
Scorpionox, it's not out of the realm of possibility, will retain its value. The problem being, the good news is, bag set's gone. The box sets, as we're told, are at what, 80% sold, 85, whatever 80%. Now. But you know, we still got this thing, because I mean, I could tell you 80% sold, and I made 1 million of them. You know,
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
There's still a ton of them out there. You know,
well,
you know as well as I do that numbers are only there to be skewed and befuddle everyone else. That's what they're for.
And so right now, as it stands, the biggest con is going to be the cost. It's just everything is going to be really expensive this weekend. And what sucks is I get a feeling we're getting less this year from our Primus package. There's no mention of a casino night. There's no mention of some kind of dinner. There probably will be, but there's no mention of it.
Well, no, I will say one thing. I was very, very, very surprised to hear that we were going to get into the theme park with our Primus package. That is a pretty big bonus for a Friday. So I was impressed with that. So maybe they're cutting quarters everywhere else to supplement that.
It's true. The thing is, what's going to be crazy with that, though, is the transport is going to probably be nuts. Because I remember when they did that in 2011, they had that Universal tour, or whatever, bus thingy. And I didn't do that myself personally, but everyone who did it was like, oh my god.
I did.
The bus thing I heard was crazy. Like it was like just jam packed with idiots, more or less.
Well, you're gonna have, like I said, there's gonna be problems. My big thing is, and I said this before. Oh, they're gonna extend the park hours 3 hours for us, and everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, well, if I go in there, and I just come in from California and I decide to go to the park, how are you gonna know that I have to leave and you get to stay?
Maybe you have to keep your BotCon badge on. Who knows?
Okay, but then you still gotta find me in that big park.
That's true. That is true. I don't know. Again, it's one of the. This year, it's very weird. We don't know a lot going into it. In the past years, we kind of knew Sylvanir sets. We kind of knew, like even the guest list. I don't know. Is it done? Is it complete? I hope that's not it. Is there more? They're really hyping the artists this time around. That's
all they've got.
Yeah, I know. That's the sad thing. It's like, hey, we got the Puggle former girl. Hey, we got this guy. Hey, we got that guy who also hasn't done official work. Hey, we got that guy that also hasn't done official work. Right. Even Alex Milne. Alex Milne, who's doing the More Than Meets the Eye comic book, probably the hottest Transformer comic book in a very long time. He's not doing BotCon. Why? Cable costs are too expensive. That's why he's not doing it. Ask Alex Milne where he's going to be that weekend. Not at BotCon. He's going to be at another convention, because they gave him the table for free. Gee, I don't understand how voice actors could get free table, free hotel, free this, but people who actually produce the fiction, here's the spoiler. Derek Wyatt had to buy his own table at BotCon this year. Who created Transformers Animated? He had to buy his own table. They didn't give him a table. Gee, I don't know. Who's Derek Wyatt? I've never heard of that guy. What's Transformers Animated?
Exactly.
Some kind of Gundam thing, Like, I mean, come on. Even he had to buy his own table. That's not cool, you know.
Well,
Well, aren't you supposed to cater to people that that pretty much built the industry? I mean, come on, it's like,
the problem
hello,
is what
this
bothers
guy
me is
comes in, you
when
shouldn't charge that guy for some of
when
this.
you, the problem is when you take someone and you make them pay for a table and then you advertise them as a guest. That's what bothers me. I think that's something like, when people pay for their table and then you use them as a marketing tool, even though that you got money from them, that's not nice, like.
Right, it's not like they paid their way in as Artist Alley and decided to put up their stuff and they haven't been really known. That's different.
It's not cool because people pay for their tables because they're trying to make a career or business of this, but then you're using them as an advertising tool, going like, hey, we have Derek Wyatt as a guest. Then why didn't you pay for his hotel room or his table or something? Like there's certain unwritten etiquettes when it comes to running conventions. Every single artist at TFCon of professional nature and every single voice actor gets free room and board and hotel room and food that weekend.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing in the film industry. If you say, well, I mean, obviously everybody knows that we ran Harrison Ford and such for the Star Wars movies. Do you think Harrison Ford is paying for his own hotel? Hell no, he's not paying for that. He's not paying for his own food. He's not paying for his own transportation. He's not paying for his own liquor and whatever else he decides to do, if he does. I'm just saying, that's just skeptical kind of thing.
Yeah.
These things are catered and given to people.
But the thing is, BotCon pay for it. No, but BotCon does. I will give them. They do take good care of the voice actors. But I think that all the artists suffer. All the artists, the professional ones and the non-professional ones, they don't get any kickers, if you will. Even at least the IDW comic guys, not a single one of them have a hotel room paid for them or a table paid for them. They all had to pay their own ways into BotCon. And then to turn around and say, hey, we got this huge list of IDW dudes. Hey, man, that's making you money by saying that they're going to be there. People are buying. There might be that X amount of people that are getting an admission to meet the IDW guys, to get stuff signed. I know a lot of Japanese people come to BotCon, and that's the biggest thing to them is to get original art from IDW guys, because that's a big deal in Japan. Mm-hmm. To get original art from an artist is a big frickin' deal. And I know guys like Hydra, Proxy, he makes money doing that. People will be a Hydra-san, I want to get Optimus Prime from Alex Milne, and he'll proxy an autograph with an original drawing, and he'll make money that way. And that's not a cheap plane ticket for him. So that's one way to make money.
I mean, and if these rooms are as big as they are, I mean, it probably, honestly, it shouldn't even cost them a dime to throw up a table and be like, here you go.
No, it does. It really doesn't.
If anything,
no, but you're looking at the wrong idea. You're not looking at an opportunity to give. You're looking at an opportunity to make.
Yeah,
that's how he's doing it.
Like I said,
and you're right. That's what he does.
Right.
That's like I said before. When you take the simple logic of how running convention, even a trade show, which is the most simple kind of convention, when you take your cost of room, like of rental of the location, and measure it against table costs, that's what pays for it. The second you start making green from that, come on. And not to mention your admission, your product profits and everything. You can't, like TFCon, you have rental price. Rental price is reflected of table cost. That pays for that. After that, admission and toys are...
It's all profit.
Is a different profit margin completely. But toys, we always run the risk of stuff. We call it our Nightbird scenario, where something can only sell 50% of product, but we always have to price it in a way that if we sell 50% of it, we at least break even. So that means we double the price of our cost measured against our sale. So if something costs us 50, we charge 100. That way we watch our ass. And we're a small independent convention. We're not Hasbro direct to the Chinese factories getting the real low cost here. We're buying from another factory, and then it gets to you.
I mean, hell, there's some people at these conventions, they hit up the local Toys R Us or whatever, and they buy out everything they got in order to bring in just to sell it there.
Of course. Of course.
And that's what they do. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I could have went to blah, blah, blah. And I thought, well, do you realize what they have to go through in order to actually have that spot?
Yeah, of course.
Most of these people don't think about that.
But, and the thing is that in the case of BotCon is that the pricing of rental doesn't add up, because that space, especially the San Diego year, that space, if I had to take a guess, and we've done big shows, we've done small shows, that rental cost probably maximum $12,000 to rent it. That's the max that it could have been to rent that location for last year's show in San Diego. You know what $12,000 is? 3 guys. 3 guys pay for their tables, you got your $12,000 almost. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You almost got it. Like, then you factor in the artists, and then probably whatever TF Source and Big Bad Toy Stores tables, how much that costs. They buy 12 in one shot right there. Then you have Russ, who buys like another 9 tables, who's the big G1 guy. You know, he has all the G1 complete stuff. There's some guys that them single-handedly probably pays for the entire room, the room cost. Let alone all the other guys, let alone a Megamis or Super Toy Archive or Hero Gongo, who get like a booth, which is already $800 to $900 depending on which year it is.
I looked into actually trying to get booths for MegaCon, because I was trying to get Megamis and Capture Prey and try to get the actual podcast down here to actually do something, but it was a little too close to the time. But just for a space with one table was like $900, and I was like,
exactly.
That's ridiculous just for one space. That's
and
like,
you're not selling anything to make profit.
No, you're not.
Right.
I mean,
imagine that. So you're not even in the, as I like to call it, give it away for free, get break-even situation. You're just in the hole completely until the weekend's over. But for what? For what?
And that's the big thing. I kind of feel bad about these the guys that just literally sell nothing but comic books. I mean, everybody complains like, oh my God, I can't get like dollar comic books and stuff. Sometimes they're $2 or $3 for these things.
To lug all that inventory, heavy long boxes, for it to get damaged, for it to get rifled through, for it to be put out of order. You know, everything was in alphabetical order. Now I've done comic conventions with comic book guys, and they always say it's a disaster because you bring your dollar bin stuff. It's heavy. It takes a lot of space. You got to rent the truck. It costs gas. It's a whole headache. You bring it there. The product gets damaged. People are rifling through it. It gets damaged. It gets mixed up.
And they don't make half the amount that they should.
And you make nothing. And you make nothing because in order to bring your whole A to Z of Marvel, you got to get 12 tables. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can't like one table is going to be like 7 long boxes that barely covers your inventory. You know, so they have to understand that you have to measure it. But you know what it is too? With Savage, a lot of people speculated in the past the reason why the dealer tables were so expensive was because Peter Cullen was so expensive. Because to get him now, because we try to get Peter Cullen every year at TFCon, and let me tell you something, and he's Canadian. He's from Montreal. He was born and raised in Montreal. His agent, very difficult to work with now. Now that he's Peter Cullen, the $700 million blockbuster movie star in his agent's eyes at least, very difficult to get him for conventions. So he has a very expensive appearance fee. The speculation was, okay, Brian Savage is paying a large sum of money to Peter Cullen, so he doesn't charge for autographs. Most conventions charge for autographs nowadays. It's a new thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like still, Stan Lee, for God's sake, in order to get like a picture or anything took with him, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, well, that's just it. So the assumption is that at least Brian Savage was footing the costs for that. But Peter Cullen isn't a factor this year. And if you look at the rest of the lineup, these aren't expensive people. These are guys we could get at TFCon any day of the year. You know what I mean? They're not something that we have to plan ahead, and they're not difficult guests at all. I think the most who is the lineup? I think the most difficult one is still not that difficult. 1 second here. Who is it again they had? I remember I was commenting about it. Oh yeah, the most expensive one for them was probably James Roberts because they had the flyman from the UK. We got James Roberts at TFCon. You know what I mean? Like Everyone else, Derek Wyatt, the guy lives in the backyard of the convention. You know what I mean? So he just takes a taxi over at best. Sue Blue, same thing as a local. David Kay, he's already on the West Coast in Vancouver. So all these guests are super cheap for them. All these guests, this whole guest list doesn't cost them anything except for James Roberts. That's the UK flight. But that's not a big deal because you know what BotCon also used to have almost every year? Peter Cullen and Simon Furman. Who kind of, like James Roberts is kind of like the new Simon Furman. This is the new UK guy that shows up every year. Now Simon Furman's kind of absent from BotCon now, but now we have this other UK guy. So it doesn't mean, like, I don't know where all their costs are going. Peter Cullen isn't there. The only expensive guy really is James Roberts from the UK, and he's still just an artist, so I can imagine, assuming a writer, so I can imagine that he's probably not going to have a table. So they didn't make any money off of him, you know.
The only thing I can think it's even really driving the con as much as it is because it is a movie year. That's
exactly what it is.
Literally
that's all
it. They're just playing it off of that, and that's it.
It's a movie year. It's the 30th anniversary. That's all it is. That's what they got going for them. A movie year, 30th anniversary. The hype is high to an extent, and they'll make money. I know they will. They're going to make hand and fist money. They'll make, you know. And the only thing that worries me is those Sylvanair sets are not going to sell out, and they're going to end up on the club store on the following Monday. You know, which that was disgusting. I was like, why did I even?
Price that they were at the con.
Why did I even go to BotCon? I could have just
three months
home.
later, they chopped the price slightly.
You know, I could have just freaking stayed home. Yeah. Oh,
well,
they're still trying to get rid of the laser rod and whatever, Jolt and freaking whatever his name is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, looks like we ran over again.
We ran over
this time.
Oh,
we ran way
who
over this time.
cares? We did it.
So,
My
but yeah,
fault.
okay. Well, I guess we started out with all the zone and all that. Ended up with a lot of information from one person who's definitely done more than one show, and a little bit of insight. So that's good. But I think we're going to wrap this one up for this week. Plasticon, you got anything to add?
About the only thing I really want to add is check out CapturePrey.com for great toys, great service, great prices for a lot of your third-party needs, guys.
Yep. Brycey?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
Yep.
Proto-Man, any final words of wisdom?
Check out tfcon.ca, our show in July for Canadians or Northeast Coast Americans. Very cheap. American dollar's really strong, you know.
Or like me, go to both.
Yeah, or as I was just about to say, in October, TFCon USA. Same staff, same crew, and hopefully same everything else. I'm not going to say anything yet, and we'll reveal that as time progresses. Check that out. That's tfcon.com for the American one, tfcon.ca for the Canadian one. For more information, follow me on Twitter, ProtomanX. I post all the news as it happens.
There you go. And finally, for our little giveaway, here's your last chance. I'm going to give you a hint. There are more than 5 in here. So that's your hint. There are more than 5. All right? Alrighty, I'm Megamus, and thanks for joining in.